Quarantine Convos. Enjoy weekly discussions with people from around the world, assisting us in dealing with this normal, mentally, spiritually, and physically. We feature nutritionists, psychologists, therapists, personal trainers, home educators, legal experts, and more, bringing you all the information and inspiration you need. Check out Quarantine Convos every Thursday from 7 p.m. live on Got Kush TV. Greetings, greetings, greetings. What a show we have for you this evening. Let's breathe. What a powerful show it was last session. I know that I had a lot of outpouring. I was really touched, actually. I just want to address this. We had a really powerful outpouring of people who contacted me about healing the mother wound. A lot of discussion had come up from the last show. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to tonight, because tonight is about the brothers this evening. It's really important that we balance this out. This is not a conversation about attacking women or attacking men. It's about healing. You know that we're doing the quarantine convos. Why do we do these conversations? Why are we still doing those conversations? We have this conversation because there's a lot of things that took place in and around the lockdown as well. And we're still dealing with the aftermath, the impact. You know, we've spoken about it before. I think we spoke about it in the hidden harms, to go back and watch the hidden harms, but we spoke about the 25% of domestic violence going up in those times there. Yeah. So we're dealing with some real issues tonight. Okay. So I want to make sure that people are comfortable with it. It's got adult themes. Yeah. So if you've got any concerns about it or young people present, you might want to remove them from the space. It's going to be an adult conversation tonight. The other thing is, you know, there might be a few people that are disgruntled, by the conversation, and, you know, might want to come and smear my name. No, okay? Not today, okay? This is for healing. This is a space for healing, so if you're not about the healing, you should switch off now. All right, let's move on. Okay, so, you know, we have to do a disclaimer sometimes. Sometimes we have to do a disclaimer. So I want to discuss, you know, some of you saw the last session or not, and some of you already know. I'm going to do a few announcements, and a couple of announcements are, and we talked about them before. You know, we talked about the Eneagu Storytelling Festival. And some of you have been before and some of you haven't. And if you haven't been before, it's a perfect opportunity for you to go this year. Remember, it's going to be the last one. Yes, the last one in the UK before it is done inside of our motherland space in Ghana. Yeah, so remember what I said. Make sure, you know, you get down there. Griot Chinyere says farewell and celebrates this time and this space, and we honor our beloved sister Winnie Mandela. Those of you who know that I've met her in 2003. I had the privilege of meeting her myself in her home, so I feel very blessed to be asked again this year to participate and partake in it. So I really appreciate that. And again, I do want to address the fact that actually, you know, I know that we spoke about children being there in the space as well, and that it'll be a powerful space for the children to engage in as well. And I want you to think about that. You know, a lot of people haven't taken their children away over the space that had happened, and this is a real freeing space, if you like, as well. So if you haven't had a chance to be in that space, please be in that space with your children. There's discounts for groups. I'm just about to flash it up now. There are discounts for groups for groups of 12 as well, so, and home education and supplementary schools and such. Yeah, so and community walks. So think about the groups that you have and think about the discount and bring your children along, and they'll enjoy the space. It'll be beautiful. They'll love it. Yeah. And of course, you know that I've been asked to partake this year inside of the conversation around freedom and the celebration of that. So, yes, I haven't put it up officially on my Instagram as yet, so you're getting it here first. But yes, this is a space to let you know that I will be doing the retreat as well. I'll be doing 2 days at the retreat as well, so you can engage with me there if you need to. Yeah. Right, let's see if I can I'm going to see if I can get this up for you, and then we can start to go into the show and into the show space. And I'm really looking forward to speaking to this brother. Now, this is how I'm not, anyone who knows me, no, I'm not a big follower of people. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Yeah, so if everybody's like, yeah, you know, why don't you follow me? You know, then I don't know why, but I tend to, you know, I'm governed by my heart seat. Okay, so if you know, if something you say to me touches my heart seat, then I'm likely to follow you. That's just pretty much how I follow people. Okay, so anyone who followed me, I followed. Yeah, just know that's why. And so recently I came across in the lockdown, actually I came across the brother who did 19 keys, and he talks a lot about crypto and things like that, and so I thought, oh, okay, you know what, I followed him over the course of the lockdown. I think I came across him then. Yeah, I might be late to the game. Yeah, some of you might think I'm late to the game, but you know what, everything in its due course and its time. Yeah, I've been in this thing 20 odd years. Yeah, you know, I don't get impressed easily. So but who came into the space, into the square, was reknown. And I thought, wow, you know what? And they were having a real powerful conversation. And then I hit him up afterwards. I DM'd him and asked him if he could come into the space and do the show on the, you know, masculine healing. Yeah, it's all about our healing. I've heard him speak on other things, and I thought it'd be a great space for him to come to the space. So he's going to be here with us tonight and bless the space. I know he's brought his own sound effects. I can't wait. He did test them out in our technical. So I know that it's going to be a powerful conversation tonight. So without further ado, let me speak to you a little bit about, again, one of the things I want to speak to you about from the last session. Yeah. We have, myself and Marlene have had conversations since, you know, with the outpouring of sisters who have come to me around the mother wound space. Yeah. So what we've decided and made a choice to do in this space is we've created a group for sisters, African-centered sisters space. Yeah. Safe space for our sisters. And that will be the last Tuesday of every month. So if you are interested, please DM me. There will be 3 questions to answer. So it's confidential. So it's completely confidential. Those will go to her. And then, because there has to be a kind of vetting process, you can't just have people coming in and they're not being authentic. And you're here to heal, and we're here to do the work. Yeah. And newsflash as well is that that men are also in a space. Yeah, she's looking to work with men in a space as well, in a similar vein, in October, yeah, for men to heal their mother wound, our brothers to heal their mother wound too. So that's a really beautiful announcement. So I'm really, 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 really excited for our healing this evening. All right, without further ado, I want to be able to speak about our brother this evening, and I'll start with a bio, and as always, I will do a proverb afterwards. So without further ado, our brother tonight, Red Pill. Father, lecturer, scholar, researcher, designer, visionary, and Afro-futurist. Brother Red Pill, son of healer and holistic coach Mama Pill, aka Annette Thomas, twin brother of Blue Pill, an older brother to KT, the arch degree, scientist and healer. I am the father of 3 lecturer, scholar, researcher, designer, visionary, and Afrofuturist. Currently residing in Atlanta, Georgia, originally from New York City, launched online platform known as Know the Knowledge Media in 2008. Became heavily involved in new media for the advancement of the conscious community via Blogtalk Radio, YouTube, IG, and more. Contributed my likeness, energy, and intelligence to world-renowned platforms such as SANETER TV, Black News 102, Black Magic 363, BabaTV, KeyOfLife Productions, KTL TV, TitansTV, and many more outlets throughout the decade. Creator of KINGZ Kounty Klothiers and conscious streetwear brand that was launched in 2006 to celebrate, highlight, and educate the consumer about our illustrious history by displaying the motifs, symbols, signals, and images of our great ancestry. I'm currently immersed in technology and Web3 development and have been designing, coding, and developing the metaverse with my twin brother and our development team. I'm also teaching online via my platform, KTL University, and have been delivering powerful lectures, workshops, and monthly classes since February 2020. So inside of that, I wanted to look at a proverb for our brother. Yeah, that was fitting. And the proverb for this evening, yeah, I know we're going to have a real chop up tonight. Yeah, so the proverb for this evening for our brother is: a wise man fills his brain before emptying his mouth. So without further ado, beloved brother, please come through. Greetings.
Peace. Greetings.
Is that your cheering?
Yeah. That's my 21 gun salute. Right. That's my 21 gun salute.
Yes, greetings, beloved.
Greetings. Peace.
Thank you so much for blessing us.
Indeed, I'm honored to be here. That was such a warm intro. I might have to sample that right there and put that on the album.
Go for it.
Yeah, that's classic.
Yeah, you can have that. That's a gift.
No doubt. So, yes,
I wanted to get into the conversation this evening. I'm just going to go to the comments. So I am going to check the comments and see who's in the building. I know there's a few people out here who've already said they will be in the building. Yeah, my God, my dog. All right, we're in the building tonight. Now we have this evening Easy Herbs. Come on, this is our this is our UK's hood scientist. Yeah. Big up System Red Pill. He's been doing street work from early. Salute. Yes. Salute to you.
10 toes. James man been on road for 10 times. Yeah, 10 toes.
Come on. Much love and respect to System and Brother Red Pill, James O. We have in the building Blessed Up Gemini Photography. You see that photo? Anyone who knows that photo that you saw earlier on of me, that was taken by Gemini Photography. Yeah. Go, you holler at that brother. I've known this brother since we went to college together. 16, yeah. Amber, yes, give thanks, Lord, that gunshot salute skinny. That's what I was thinking. I'm saying, yo, what? I want it. It's so good. All right, so I follow Red Pill. Great to see him in London, in a London show. Let's go. That's right. I mean, we have our greats over here. But specifically, I wanted to speak about this conversation because this brother has touched on some areas before. And because it's touched me, I said, okay, you know what? Let me bring the brother through into our space. I know he's been around our family. A lot of our family follow him. He's a big feature. Okay, I took Red Pill's dope shot last time they were here. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, all right. So
shout out to the UK family. We were out there in 2019, right before this world changed forever and went into the great. We were out there. We actually were we sat in Parliament. We had a meeting. It was all of us. 19 Keys was there as well. And Queen Diambi and a few other dignitaries.
Yeah.
Master Teacher Infudishi we were sitting in parliament, like you know, like we were royal. And then the next day, Parliament shut down. It was one of the
Well, there you go. Wow. Yeah. And I didn't do the news really today. I was going to do the news, but there's so many different things. I know that in the news, you've got a shooting in Atlanta. You got, I mean, can't even count how many shootings are going on over there right now. We've got over here, it's a knife crime situation. That's what's happening.
They with the knife work. Mm-hmm.
And we've got Boris Johnson, who's just resigned today. So that's a big thing. If you're going to harbor sexual predators, there's going to be a consequence. So let's just go in. I want to ask you. So I have been doing some research on this. And you know what it was? Why I brought up the subject of the wounded masculine. It was two brothers, separate conversations. And we had conversations about, manhood and things like that. And they both used the term, oh, yeah. When I said something and they said, oh, yeah, that's the wounded masculine. They said it so loosely.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, so what is this about? Yeah.
Right.
And where do we go from it? So I want you to start. Yeah. Maybe define for us what the wounded masculine is, what you see it as.
Well, it has many different symptoms and many different causes, but one of the main causes for the wounded masculine is the absence of the divine, the father. In a child's life, especially in the son's life. The wounded masculine comes from lack, right? And a type of pain that it has psychological amplification, repercussions, physical, emotional, and it has so many case studies that we could look around. One of the main petri cultures or petri dishes that we could look into would be hip hop and what hip hop has produced from fatherless, performers and how they cry out and what are their traits that they all have, right? And what does that point to? And if we could define the wounded masculine, we're talking about the fact that, a majority of us have no outlet to where it comes to heal, right? We don't prioritize healing over hurting, right? Mm-hmm. We don't prioritize healing over stealing, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of healing, sometimes we go stealing, and stealing is taking other people's energy in order to patch up some of the energy that we lack, right? So we've seen this happen in many different occasions, but very clearly in, like I said, in hip hop and then in our communities, right? A lot of us know what the wounded ego, or with the wounded, basically the wounded ego.
Well, I wanted to take a look at something. I'm going to read something, and I want you to kind of tell me. Let's break this down. Yeah.
Okay.
So the wounded masculine seeks attention from the world and the feminine, rather than being in presence with the world and the feminine, because he is seeking validation from his own existence.
Right.
Receiving attention is like being fed, except it never goes to the depths that it wants to be felt. The wounded masculine resists deep emotional expression and feeling because he believes it is his burden to bear the weight of pressure, patriarchy, and undue responsibility in order to be male, because he has yet to find his true masculinity. The wounded masculine refuses to deeply see the connect with the feminine spirit beyond the superficial physical plane, and maybe tapping into the intellectual realm, but at a spiritual level, no, because he is terrified of being dissolved in a womb, no longer being himself.
Right.
The wounded masculine, you might want to take some notes if you want, but I just want to read this out. The wounded masculine chooses to battle with money rather than build and harmonize wealth from roots of self-worth, and as a result never really moves financially and feels stuck and hopeless. The reasons cited are always external and circumstantial rather than inner awareness. This part kind of touched me, this, because I think the wounded masculine is very prevalent in our community, and we see the impact of it on boys. We talked about the wound, healing the mother wound last time we were here.
Right.
And healing the mother wound is about not just the physical absence, but the emotional absence of a mother, possibly. Yeah. And we have to kind of address the emotional absence of the father.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
so
indeed.
He says the wounded masculine believes he has nothing to heal.
Right.
Because he has reached a certain level of material accomplishment, which is usually house, wife, children, and job. This means the identity goal is achieved, and anything that threatens to move him from his role as all-powerful provider becomes something to be resisted, including his own inner growth and evolution.
Right.
Talk to
me. Right. The fact you brought up, the fact that we live in a patriarchal society, right? So as a Black male growing up in a patriarchal society, we're automatically assumed to fit into that patriarchal society. But the patriarchal society that we exist in these days is a westernized society, from a westernized man's point of view, from his standpoint, from a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant's standpoint, from their mind, the way that they have this society built up and fragmented, and the focus is on material, and the focus is on breaking the two genders rather than blending them. So it's man versus woman rather than man and woman are the, that's the automatic, equation is needed to create anything, right? That's an African mind. But here we are with this European mind, and it's creating this trauma amongst a people who are trying to be something that they're not. Trying to follow in the footsteps of something that's artificial and outside of themselves. They're not tapping into their spirits. They're not tapping into their divine feminine. They're not tapping into the balance. They're not tapping into, they're tapping into ego. They're tapping into the material. They're tapping into logic. You dig what I'm saying? And they're tapping into the mind state of these Europeans who are tapping into our mind state and just basically, reversing it, perverting it. It's not theirs, right? So the spell of the religion, the spell of culture, the spell of the society, of social engineering, the spell that they put us in under the different, I call it the fantasy industry, but it's the different industries that programmed our subconsciousness from when we were children and babies and whatnot, leading up to our teenager years, going into our young adulthood years, and then definitely as adults. That would be comic books, that would be the cartoons, that would be these movies, right? That would be these Disney movies. You dig what I'm saying? That would be the toys that we play with. Everything was basically socially engineered, you know what I mean, to have us look at something to be majestic and all powerful, everything but ourselves. So, when we as a male species, or the divine masculine, when we are able to express ourselves, when we're able to embrace healing, right, as a requirement, right, when we're able to embrace healing the same way that we've been embracing stealing and wheeling and dealing, when we treat it like, high, like priority, that's something that we should collectively get into. And I'm talking about deep healing, like plant-based medicine healing, like going on real retreats, like, really tapping in.
Well, like when they say, if a child doesn't feel the warmth of the community, they will, to feel that they will burn it down to feel its warmth, right?
Right.
So it's a beautiful proverb, and it makes us think, but we never think about those children who become men.
Right.
Yeah. So if those men, what happens to those men who are not felt by their society by the time whilst they're young? Yeah. Because we
Right.
know a lot of trauma happens. Look, women are quite open about their traumas with each other, and hence we can talk about these things quite openly. But men won't talk about this stuff. Yeah.
Right.
They
Right.
won't talk about sexual abuse like it's happened over there. They won't
Right.
talk about any kind of level of abandonment. They won't talk about all sorts of things, right?
Right. Right.
And they often don't, from what we gather, they often don't. Obviously, they talk about certain things that have happened to them with their brothers and what have you. But we're at a point now where women notice. Yeah, we're in a, I came across something and it said, and it's actually, there's a book called Enlivening the Heart Chakra, right?
Right.
And it says the heart is the new organ of perception.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And what's really interesting, I've always been into one of those people that's done personal development, all those kind of things from many, many years ago, that's been a thing, right? But our heart work, yeah, it's very, very important. And so when we talk about, getting the work done, healing ourselves, yeah, it just seems, I think, conceptual to a lot of men. Like, it doesn't feel real. I'm a doula. And when a woman has a baby,
yes,
so if I say I'm pregnant now, I'm going to get X amount of calls.
right.
I'm going to get sisters who will probably say, is there anything you need, etc., blah, blah, right?
Right. Right. A support system.
Totally. When a man is pregnant too, now my work means that I work very closely because there is no support structure with men.
Right.
You'll hear an ice cream van in the background. Sorry about that. It's real.
Right.
It's real where I live. And
Right.
how can they be coming at 7:30 in the evening? That's what I want to know. And
Right. They're getting their bread.
Yeah. It's nighttime. Children are in bed. So, but when you're not doing this kind of healing work, yeah, on yourself, it shows. It shows in, men are not being able to. Okay, let's go back to birth. When a man and a woman have a baby, there is statistics now to show that in the first year and in pregnancy and in the first year, there's
Right.
more chance of breakdown and domestic abuse.
Right. Right.
Now, in my work, I help to bridge some of that gap and anxiety that men go through. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it means that they don't have to feel over anxious, and they can help them in the role that they're in, and they can feel confident and empowered. And I work quite closely with them so that they can feel empowered. It's about taking them from, 0 to hero. Yeah.
That's important. That's very
That's what
important.
it's about. That's what it's
Yes.
about. Because at the end of the day, I always say, when I'm out of the space, you two are still a unit.
Right.
Yeah. So it becomes very important that that unit is secure, no matter who comes into that space. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I help to empower him. And unfortunately, in my work, I get to be that support system that he's missing from his, community, his males. Yeah.
Right.
Fathers will,
Right.
maybe toast to the baby, but there's no initiation. And you know what? I'm putting it out there, bros. Yeah. America and here, I'm putting it out there. Yeah. That there is no initiation for fathers.
That's a fact. I could share something with you.
Please.
That I experienced that what you're saying. In 2014, I remember coming back to Harlem, and my daughter, Wisdom Bella, she was born in Texas, right? And I came back to a community that, even though I put it online and I was getting thousands of, the likes and everything and the thumbs up and the hearts, like nobody really even, it wasn't ceremonious. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't something. I'm like, yo, it doesn't feel like there's support. And then one person came up to me and was like, yo, here's $20. Yo, good luck, man. Congratulations. And I'm like, good looking, brother. I appreciate you. And that was like a, you know what I mean? Like that was a little, one person would see it as a measly $20. But for me, shoot, that was like $2 million because it just showed
But
that
that's what
somebody
I'm
cared.
saying. You, as much as you know all these people, and you're in this, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Right,
let's not be fooled by how, look, you have.
right,
I saw your Instagram today. You have like 90K followers, my
right,
guy.
right, right,
Doing
right,
that.
right.
Yeah. Now that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
right.
But you got one person
Mm-hmm.
who did that for you. Yeah.
Right,
Now it might have been a while ago, your followers might have been different, but the point is, and I'm not saying I'm not attacking anyone. This is not attacking men. This is
right.
showing you what's missing. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so when we talk about the wounded masculine,
yeah,
we can understand and understand that there's a link between even the initiation of fathers. There was a big ruckus that men have been making about Father's Day this year. And they said
yeah.
that,
Not feeling appreciated.
when it's women, it's got this, when it's men, it's got tools and it's got alcohol. And I was it was a brother that did a live, big up Next Gen and Black Next Gen. And he was talking about, well, what's in place for fathers. And I posed a question. I said, so how do men appreciate fathers back home on the continent?
Right,
There was no answer for us.
right.
So
Nobody had an
Mother's Day
answer for that.
is obviously commercial. Yeah, we know that. And Father's Day is become commercial. Fair enough. But it's still an imbalance of men's appreciation. There's still an imbalance. Fathers don't know maybe how to do that with their own fathers, or sons. Nobody's learned. So I said, part of my discussion was, okay, maybe it's about tapping into men's hobbies. How many men have a hobby though?
Right. I
You
think
understand
all
what I
men.
mean?
I think all men have hobbies.
Well, do they have hobbies, or are they always trying to make money from a hobby? Because most men turn their hobbies into monetary things, right? But can you just have a hobby?
Well, if you chasing a dollar or you're on the hamster wheel, it'll be hard for you to, to even express what your hobby is.
Hmm.
So some people have hobbies, but they're not even able to express it because they're chasing the dollar. However, if you get it the right way and you know how to manifest it, you'll be able to turn your hobby into a profession,
That's right.
or you can experience your hobby without it being anything, just as a hobby. Because it's really about time, being able to
So
have the time to do that.
we talked about it in the last one, we can often find joy from the things we did that were free when we
Right.
were a child.
Right. Those were the most
Those were
heartwarming.
our hobbies,
Right. They were the most organic,
right?
heartwarming. Those are the memories that stick, right?
Right?
Those are the ones that are cemented in your mind, and you almost go into you start feeling a kind of way because you're actually chasing that old file right there. But what's constant is change, however, right? And with the constant of change, it teaches you to be appreciative of the now. I can't be wishing on firebugs or fireflies. Oh, I wonder what happened to the fireflies. When I should be admiring the butterflies that are around me at the moment. I should be, giving gratitude for them.
Mm.
I use that parable to talk about how sometimes in this community, we focus so much on people who don't get it, or people who don't need it, or people who don't want it, and we ignore those who show up for it, right? That's the balancing act. So you got people chasing followers, chasing people to get to know them, chasing fame, which is a drug, chasing notoriety, right? Chasing acceptance, chasing attention, right? That the wounded male ego is being marketed to by social media conglomerates, $1 trillion companies like Facebook, like Instagram, like Google. They speak to our ego. They speak to our narcissism. They speak to our wounds. They speak to our trauma. Henceforth, that's why the algorithm is set up the way it is, to feed us trauma, to feed us pain, to feed us our ego, to feed our lower self. You feel me? They keep us in lust. They keep us distracted. You dig what I'm saying? This is all the algorithm. I got 90,000 people following me, but only 9,000 people are seeing my work for the
For
last
real.
3 years. You know what I'm talking about? For the
For
last
real.
3 years, only about 9,000 people have seen the work. They are even exposed to me. The other people don't even know they probably thought my page got shut down.
The algorithms
The algorithm is
in
crazy.
listen, you
And then
got
they
I
clone
think you
me.
got 20K
Right.
subscribers, and you see how many views you get, right? Like,
Right, exactly. And then they
but I think
clone
if
me.
you're following that, if you're, it's like you got to do this work out your heart. What comes, isn't it? You know what I mean?
What
If
comes,
whoever it's
right.
meant to touch, it touches.
That's
No,
right. That's right. That's the only thing that that's the only mentality that would be able to get me to silver surf through, all of the clones, the attack of the clones, you know what I mean? The fake pages, the trolls, the bots, all of these things that are almost like this, it's like landmines. And it feels like they're all putting that deliberately, in front of me and in front of many other people to make them give up or to take them out of their mind, take them off of they zone.
absolutely.
Yeah, but they don't, we don't let that stop us at all. That doesn't bother us.
So I want to ask you, one of the things that came up as well in my preparation for this show, which I found, they talk about the manosphere. Yeah.
Right. They use the red
Let's
pill
go there.
too.
Let's talk about that.
Right. Yeah, right. I don't know why they use the red pill. When I started doing research,
I know, right?
yeah, I brought that to the community, and I was trying to get a petition going to say, "Yo, hold on, can we do something about this? Because here it is. I know who red pill is. You know what I'm talking about, and I know what that means to my people, and it's being diluted because I looked around and I was studying men going their own way, and then I bumped into this whole red pill movement, and I'm like, that's interesting. You feel me? And this is pre Kevin Samuels. This is early in the game. You feel me? This was early in the game. So I was like, So then I understand that this is a contingency of our brothers who have these mother issues, our brothers who have baby mother issues, our brothers who are somewhat in their, they're in a hurt place because a lot of them speak about being double crossed, having having hate for the other gender because of experiences that they had either in a childhood setting, right? In a setting, oh, I was married once. Oh, I had a child with this woman. She won't let me see my child. She did this. She slept with this person. These black women have white women. They have white men allowing white men to sleep with them and all over the internet. On these porn sites, our sisters are disrespecting themselves. That's further proof that they're not worth anything. They have a lot of vitriol.
I mean, it is, what concerns me is it is filtering into our community. There was a time when it was sort of out there. It was like, oh, it's their stuff. It's toxic. It's Tracy and Karen. Right. But now it's kind of like you're hearing it filter through different chats.
Internet, right? Because we are because this echo chamber, remember the algorithm, right? Algae rhythm.
But what I'm talking about is, let's say you're in a WhatsApp group now. Yes. Yeah. And you're starting to see the kind of people that are filtering into the WhatsApp group.
Yes.
And the kind of things that are coming through the WhatsApp group. Yes. And the conversations that are springing up from it, and, that underlying misogynoir. Right. Yeah. Right. Which is, creeping into our communities. And I wanted to talk about, Kevin Samuels. And and part of the reason why I had you come into this square space is because, I heard you speak about narcissism. And I thought, you know what? No one else speaks about that. Right. And it's a thing. Trust me. Manure.
Right.
It's a thing. Yeah. Right. And it is going on in our community. And a lot of women are hurt. A lot of women, I've had conversations with, and I've been through it. Listen, when I first came into my consciousness, boy, I was like a lamb for a slaughter. I can't even lie.
Right.
I was like, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a journey. Everybody goes through it.
But it's okay. You know what? I forgive you. Yeah, I forgive you all. It's okay. I forgive you. But the point is that we often come into this space. Our relationships are kind of. My aunt said something many years ago. She said a few years ago. She said, you know, we have to remember that our relationships are in embryonic stage.
Right.
Because no one else has had the interruption that we had for 400 years. So we're starting, if you like, from a new space. So now you're starting from a new space, and now you've got this kind of toxic stuff getting poured into an open space. Yeah. And so I want to talk a little bit about Kevin Samuels. I don't want to berate him. I just want us to understand that everything has a spiritual significance. So I did a little research on our Kevin, dearly departed.
Yes.
And, you know, we know, some of us know, so I'm just going to highlight it. Some of us know his first marriage lasted a year. His second marriage lasted 3 years. He had a single mother, but his mother married at 50, yeah, which then bypasses that women are, you know, of no use after 35. Right. Your mother got married at 50. His father was a Rolling Stone, according to him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's one of 10 or plus children or more. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And he admits to having only child syndrome. Yeah. Now I thought to myself, okay, you know what? Look, good for you. You monetize this thing. Yeah. But you've also, what you've done, if you were doing the healing work, you wouldn't be trying to monetize what is essentially your disappointment with your parents.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you're disappointed with your father being here, there, or anywhere. And you're disappointed with your mother being a single mother at the time. She was a single mother, maybe not been married before. And this rhetoric is the impact. And then fast forward, he passes away. And the person who is at his passing is either a nurse or an escort. It's still unclear. Yeah. But what's really interesting, I thought was really interesting, she could have been an office worker, but she happened to be a nurse, or so she's a nurse. Yeah.
Right.
And he passes away with a heart attack. Yeah. Heart work now. We're on heart work.
Right.
And the woman there at that point, yeah, is supposed to be a nurse. And I look at that like, wow, look at that. He passes away with essentially some kind of random. Yeah. Right. That's his legacy right there. Just, that's it. I mean, yeah, you know, he left some messages. I got it. He did, you know, he did his thing. And some people really wrote that. But essentially, we have to look at how, you know, how someone lives is how someone dies. Yeah.
Right. It's how you leave. Yeah. People.
And so he wasn't healing the hearts.
Right.
Nor his own.
Right.
And the woman at his passing was technically or called a nurse. And his heart essentially needed nursing.
Right. The symbolism of it all.
For real. Right. I really see that as very symbolic.
It is.
Very powerful.
Very
powerful that he passed away with someone who, again,
but a stranger theoretically though. Yeah, I mean, in all ways, because if she didn't have his mother's phone number, right? Because his mother had to find out through social media. If she didn't have anybody in his family's phone number, or if anybody of significance, theoretically, he died with a stranger.
That's what I'm saying.
The circumstances of his death is very questionable in regards to, it's only her story versus it's just her story. It's no one else's.
Yeah, there's no one else. And it looks a bit like, okay, she might have been an escort, fair enough, do your thing, innit? But
it looked like a hit too. You mean it looked like a hit, and it looked
like
what they said it was.
If she was a nurse, might be. Could be. But there's also that. And I think, and I hope that it wasn't that. I don't wish that on him in any way or any form. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the choices he made in his life, and who, he monetized these things, and it was great for him. But essentially what he's done is left an imprint, yeah, on a lot of men who think now, I'm hearing, there's so many of them online, yeah, now, yeah, they're just raising their head up. And
Oh yeah, I was just talking about that yesterday.
some
That's funny that
serious
I was
things,
like, yo,
how
yeah, I
to
was like,
use them, how
they
to
got it. They got an army right now, of the post Kevin Samuels movement that are
listen,
like, they are,
real,
and this is the thing, right? Are you finished? Because I wanted to add
go
on to
for
what
it.
you're saying. See, the thing about Kevin Samuels that is, disheartening to me, right? I would use the word disheartening, is that I was eagerly, looking forward to seeing his transformation. I was eagerly looking forward to seeing his healing, because one thing I know about this space, right? This space, which would be this stage that we're all on. When people go viral and they're thrusted into the front of the world, 2 years is, it's really not even, it's a blink, right? It's a blink, but it's also a lifetime, because Biggie Smalls, his reign was about 3 years. You know what I mean? And there's other people who impacted. Pop Smoke, his reign was real short too, and he impacted the world, right? Um, so the brother, what my heart told me was, if he was in Atlanta too, if he had the opportunity to meet some of the goddesses that I know, or some of the healers that I know, who know how to speak to your inner soul, if he was at some of the plant-based ceremonies that I was at, he would be in a better place, because his impact and his wisdom and his charisma and everything that it took to get young people charged up, and to do what? And to help the wounded male, right? That ego. Many of us are hurt. Many of us are feeling inadequate. Many of us feel invisible. Many of us feel attacked by society. Then, when our natural counterpart is online, actively at war against us, right? That, shoot, you could ignore something, but for so long. And in those spaces, there's a lot of trauma bonding, and they really pour on. Like, they don't stop with the pouring on of all of the negative, points and bullet points, and a lot of the visual trauma and stuff like that. And instead of people saying, well, yo, there's this ayahuasca, ceremony that I know about. Yo, this is the strain of shroom that you could take on this moon or this day, this alignment. These are the certain herbs that we could start taking to really get us in a different place. These are the breathing activities. These are the exercises, right? These are the people that you could listen to. Yo, these are the books that you could read. This is the sister that you could go to for some type of healing. Some men want they need the touch of the divine feminine. They need to be held. They need to feel, they need to be caressed. They need that self-care as well, and not in a sexual manner. There's a lot of men that are dealing with the fact that they're growing up in a hypersexualized environment, and they get judged and they get finger pointed for not being sexually disciplined. But then it's like, who they look around and be like, who in society who's really teaching that other than these church? And that's not even, and when you go in there, you see the fangs on them people, and you know that they teach in total the opposite. So it's like, for the male who's been taught sexual education backwards in a westernized, romanized or romanticized, society, where at the end of the day it's about dominance, right? It's very Romanistic. The whole Walt Disney thing about, a knight in shining armor, and everything being perfect and the Roman antics, it hypnotizes a lot of people. These young men who didn't have proper father figures, so the rappers grew them up. Trappers grew them up. You know, the anti-heroes grew them up. You feel me?
So talk to me about that. Tell us a little bit about that, because there's a lot of brothers who are coming from the hip hop end of the spectrum. Yeah.
Right.
And the impact of the hip hop era. Look, you know, I'll tell you, my first hip hop track, that I loved as a young person, the first one I came across was Friends by Houdini.
Oh, that was my joint. Right.
That's my joint.
Right. That was my joint. That was a
Yeah,
bop.
listen,
Yeah,
that's my jam, you know.
Yeah,
that's my jam. That is my jam. My children know that tune. All my children know that jam, right?
Right.
You can't come through this without knowing that jam.
Right.
And so hip hop was fresh. You know, my favorite film of all time is, Breaking or Breakdance. That's my favorite, right?
That's your favorite, huh?
Come on.
Right.
So for me, when I was growing up, I didn't see that side, or necessarily, that the toxic side of hip hop. It was very innocent and fresh for me.
Right.
The brothers that were in it, my uncles were in it. So my uncles were DJ during that time. They were the ones with the capri and and body popping outside my school, and that's what I was dealing with. So I wasn't privy to what was happening to the minds of our brothers in that time and how they were being shaped. So help me.
Yeah, well, in the early days of hip hop, it was definitely about partying, enjoying life. You know, we had what was known as the golden era of hip hop. That would be about 1986, 87, 88, where, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim Allah, the Native Tongues, Slick Rick, a lot of these are party rappers, right? So, but they were also showing you how to get fly. You know what I mean? They were also helping to push materialism, but materialism in a way where we were basically getting out of poverty through materialism. We were utilizing our uniform or our outfit or our hour experience to basically distinguish us outside of, the shame of poverty, because everybody was running away from poverty. That they all talk about that. Yo, I used to have to share my brother's clothes. Yo, I was so embarrassed. Yo, I was so traumatized. Yo, I was so wounded. Right? This is where the wounded male ego comes from. Lack. Like I was saying, the lack is what they're explaining when they're like, yo, we grew up in adverse situations. We grew up during the crack era, right? Which cracked the egg. It cracked something that was not cracked even through slavery, right? It cracked society in a way that it wasn't cracked before. It cracked the egg, right? And nothing's been the same ever since, because even
I saw Snowfall. I saw it.
Huh?
Snowfall. I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch that, but I'm sure that I've heard that they painting a picture. Right.
Well, we didn't have that experience in the same way here, so we're kind of getting it in that format, you see,
exactly,
and getting a sense of that dope sick and those kinds of things. That like, okay, this is a real thing. Oh, yeah. So please,
So that all of that was happening the same time, right? That's 88, that's 89, that's 90. So the rappers might have been gangsters, but they wasn't rapping about gangster stuff. But they had the gangster persona. So as listeners, we knew that, right? So we was like, all right, so they're certified, they street, they don't have to act like it, because we already know from word of mouth. We didn't have the internet back then. Everybody knew what the deal was without, you know what I mean? No, it just was like that. Right? Everybody knew what it was without pressing send. We knew what it was. We like, yo, he's Rakim, Eric B and Rakim. Nah, they with the gangsters, Like we got a Big Daddy Kane. Nah, he's with the gangsters. He's with the hood. Cool G Rap. He was rapping gangster stuff, right? So this was a day and time where people mostly wanted to be like the drug dealers and not the rappers, because the rappers didn't have the money. They were rapping about living a certain type of life, but they weren't tapping into the millions at that point. They wasn't even going platinum. They were just basically running, radio. They had the music that was like summer anthems that was playing in the discotheques and the clubs and whatnot, be just defining the whole era, because it's a soundtrack. Music is a time machine. There's certain songs that when I listen into it, I could go into a trance and it would take me directly back into the mind state, into the whole download, the everything, how I'm feeling, how I was thinking, if I think good enough, what I was wearing, and I'll experience that through the music. So this music is significant. The frequency is significant. The messages, the program of it. And, we expressed ourselves through the music. The music is a soundtrack, and we express ourselves through, just the way that we are following the drum and the word. Because a lot of people get their marching orders through the music. They don't want to admit it. You know what I mean? They don't want to admit it, but they do. They rewire their whole thought process. That's why, and I'm not no offense to anybody personally, but that's why there's 2 million people behind walls right now.
For real?
Yeah, it's people are taking the rappers literally and carrying that shit out. What would this person do as this character? Meanwhile, this person is out here they own juice bars and whatnot, and they're setting up scholarships. And whenever they doing interviews, they well read like a thespian. You know what I'm talking about? They're pronouncing multi-syllable words and everything. You like, damn, I thought this was a thug. No, he's playing a character. Same way that everybody else is playing a character.
I hear that.
Right. And people have taken things literal, and they've been caught up in these traps. But these traps, I'm not one to judge, because a lot of people go through the rites of passage. A lot of people are going through their what they call hero's journey. Everybody, people transformation is painful.
That's right.
Birth is painful. It's bloody, it's painful. It's, you know what I mean? It's not, so that goes for the birth of an idea. That goes for birth of concepts, right? Because remember, all war is mental, right? This is about ideas and concepts. When ideas and concepts begin to seep into your reality and whatnot, then somebody who is pushing those ideas and concepts obviously is winning the war. They're advancing and whatnot. You want to be able to control your narrative. That's the key in being able to exist in a reality where all is mental. Control your reality. So like yesterday, the guidestones, the Georgia guidestones came falling, tumbling down, right?
I saw that.
Listen, right? So what I would look at, people are like, oh, they trying to attribute it when they saw it happen, instead of celebrating it, instead of taking the power of what's taking place and and owning that shit, being like, no, I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna say the ancestors is working. You feel me? I'm gonna take that what I just saw with my own 2 eyes and be like, well, if these pillars are falling, then that means some other pillars are rising.
For real.
Twin pillars, okay, red and blue. Hold on.
To this day. To this day.
So
Come on.
you know what I mean? So when I see things, it's about interpretation.
Yes.
First and foremost. Is which is perception. Is how what you perceive is what you believe, is how you see it. You know what I'm talking about? Because what they've been doing by programming our people is they've been training our people to see things by controlling the narrative. That's what the media does. That's what these liars do. That's what these false prophets do. Charlatans do it. You know what I'm talking about? The rappers do it. The woke people do it. All of the people that are working, the people that were trying to have our people put poison in their bodies, you know, there's been campaigns since 2020 where you've seen a lot of sucker MCs expose themselves and show their hands and whatnot by, you know, by being for sale. You know what I mean? By having low integrity. You know what I mean? By being by lap dancing the devil. Yeah. So
real. So, you know, I know that there are, you know, when I say our brothers, I'm a mother to 3 sons. Yeah.
congrats.
So
Father 3.
no daughters at this stage.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But I also but the thing is, you know, I'm gonna admit this, and only my closest friends know this. Yeah.
Yes.
I may not be having any daughters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I may not be having any daughters because I've already put it in the universe that I'm not prepared to have a daughter unless I feel protected.
Yes, yes.
Simple. So if my womb is not planning to do it, it's cool.
Understood.
Yeah. I've always wanted sons before I had a daughter. Yeah. My eldest is, you know, you're talking 22, 12 years old, and 8. Yeah.
Right.
And interestingly, you talked about Disney. Now I tell you what, I'm not really a big Disney fan, but something came up recently that I thought, you know what, this is a bit of a game changer in terms of how brothers or our sons can understand this particular nuance.
Right.
So there's a fairly new film called Turning Red. Yeah. And Turning Red is about the menstrual cycle. Yeah. And it's a way of explaining the menstrual cycle to children. Yeah. And my children came across it before I came across it. I came across it on the radio. They said it was about the menstrual cycle. My children saw it on, I don't know, as an advert. They were like, "Oh, Mom, I want to see that." And I was like, "Oh, let me just check." I always have to check what this thing's going to be about. It just says Turning Red is a red panda on it. So you never know, right? Like, you know, what's coming. And anyway, we ended up watching it all together. Yeah. And it was very empowering for them. It was empowering for as a girl. If I was a little girl and I'm learning about my menstrual cycle, it was actually empowering in that sense. Yeah. It showed you that, you know, this girl turns into a huge panda, an angry panda. Yeah. So my sons, you know, we watched it together. Now my children know if I'm in that time, we just call it Red Panda. Yeah. And my boys know. My boys know. My boys are like, "Okay, Mom." But my middle one came to me with his scientific self. I love him. He said to me, "Mom, you know," because my children always like to go and, you know, when you want to find out more about the movie after the movie, you know, back in the days, we just
your research.
I'm just like, you know, we just watch the movie, but this is the generation where they can, right? My sons came to me and said, "Mom, you know, I was watching something and the Red Panda film, they were talking about the Red Panda film, the Turning Red. And they were talking about when she gets bigger, it means, yeah, that her cycle is either normal or heavy." So he went to me, "Mom, so what cycle do you have?" I was like, "Ew." But I love that. I'm one of those parents who love that because that's the level. Right. Because a lot of men, look, let's talk about it, ladies. Let's talk about it. If I'm going to say it straight. If your man can't deal with your menstrual cycle,
right?
No, it's not for you. It's not for you, okay? Because it's about, you know, you're not oblivious. You've come across it before. And my eldest, you know, he would know. My eldest, before all of this, before this Turning Red, my eldest would know. He'd get my evening primrose. He'd get the lavender from Mom. Right. And I teach my sons that on purpose so that they know how to look after a woman when she's in her cycle. That's a basic.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. That's their rites of passage.
That's a basic requirement.
Basics, right? Definitely.
If you can manage that, yeah, you're a keeper.
Right.
Yeah, I'm training my sons to be keepers, not that's where.
Right. Not
yeah.
Fleeters.
So to have that, and now my sons are like, okay, they get it. They know I might need rest. They get it.
Dope.
So
dope. Yeah, that's dope.
And my children, you know, at this time they're homeschooled at this time, and you know, we're having conversations about, okay, you know, what's going on in the world. They're seeing, you know, what's out there. Yeah, what's happening with boys out there, why they're getting so, you know, I've been in situations where I've had to stop two boys pulling out two blade on each other in the street in
Yeah.
front of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so these kinds of situations, they're real. They're very, very real. I get concerned, obviously, as a parent. Yeah, just naturally that our children are under kind of like attack. But I also don't walk around with the fear of it either. Yeah. And so I know that, if my daughter's in the universe somewhere, yeah, in the etheric realm, yeah, you can stay there if you're not going to be protected. Simple. Don't come without being protected, sis.
Right.
Because, and I say that as a woman who was raised without her father, and this is another, I want to go there because a lot of these men say, oh, don't deal with women who haven't got a father. Like it was the woman's fault that her father left,
Right.
Yeah. And nobody then says, okay, women don't go around saying, oh, don't be with a man that doesn't have a father or a mother. Like, women don't even think like that.
Right.
But again, this manosphere, oh well. And my father came back in my life. In fact, I said to myself, my father is left, the family setting when I was very young.
Yes.
So I was like 15 months or something. So he went off and had his life and etc. etc. He became a Rasta. Yeah. I'm one of 14. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's cool, I've got a lot of siblings. I had a very small family, now I've got a huge one. So I'm cool with that, right? But when my father, and I share this story, yeah, I shared last session, but I share this story because I think it speaks of hope, at least in the world of hope, loosely, because I don't like that word.
Right.
But when my father came back in 2016, he's a musician, lives in Sri Lanka, etc., remarried, all this kind of thing. And he came back, and we had a 5-hour conversation when he came back, to England. And halfway through the middle of that conversation, he said to me, I told him, I said, listen, how it was for me, what it was like, you leaving, the impact, etc. And he let me just communicate. It was great. And he stopped halfway through and he said, it was something that was missing for me. And I said I didn't want to get into another relationship until end of 2015. I said, I'm not getting another relationship until my father comes back into my life. That's it, done. Because a lot of these brothers, when you haven't got your father in your life, you are a lamb. Yeah, no words.
Facts. Yeah, facts.
Yeah, they'll be looking for your vulnerability. You can't even forget. We'll get onto submission in a minute. Yeah. Because you can't be submitted. You can't submit if you can't even be vulnerable with the brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So when my father came back into my space, my father said, he apologized, and I'm going to tell you, if you haven't had that conversation, and I say it loosely because not everybody can have that control over where their father is. Yeah. Right. But that apology was a game changer for me. I'm not even going to lie. So I'm saying to men, if you are not around your children, it's not too late to come into this space and apologize. It really isn't. Yeah. Now, my father, I'm still getting to know. I'm not saying he's a perfect human being. And my mother and him, it didn't go well. But when your father comes in your life, whether he's good, bad, or indifferent, it takes away that, again, going back to what you said about that Disney conversation, about having an illusion of what a man should be.
Right.
Yeah. Versus, okay, well, my father is good, bad, or indifferent, and this is it. And I either want this, you either look for someone like your father or look something opposite, whatever it is, some reaction of some kind, right? And so I'm just saying, I'm putting it out to fathers here who are absent. I can't, my head can't get around the number of young people who are killing each other, black boys,
right,
killing each other out here, and the fathers have, this is rampant out here. And I don't hear about fathers coming back into the fold.
Right.
I don't get it. That's my confusion right now.
Yeah, I mean,
talk to me.
There's a lot of fathers missing, right? There's a lot of fathers missing. I mean, in America alone, the population of the prisons are at 2.2 million, right? And let's not even count the dead that we have out here, because people are, they're dying at a fast pace in the streets. And a lot of these young brothers, they lost their fathers during the scourge of the crack eras. A lot of them, a
Mm.
lot of people have similar stories, whether the parent got locked up or they got caught in the addiction phase,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. So, or at this point, the best thing that we can offer is the different outlets to, express the pain and the trauma, and to peel back some of these layers. You know what I mean? What are the modalities to do in order to peel back the layers to get to the root of of the trauma, of the shadow, of this
Mm.
buried, this wound that hasn't healed properly, that we keep putting salt on, right? That this wound could be, it's covered up, but the scab, if the scab is moved, you know, and somebody sprinkles salt on us, if they sprinkle salt on our egos, if they, speak down to us, if they say something against us that makes us see ourselves in a different light, if they're too honest with us, you know, they could trigger us, and it'll feel like them sprinkling salt on freshly healed, on either unhealed wounds or freshly healed ones. And then we'll snap back and we'll sprinkle vinegar on them, right? So it turns into this whole
But that's where
who
you're
can
talking
hurt.
about narcissistic injury now.
Well, narcissistic injury is basically social media back and forth in a nutshell. That's what you see every day in comment
Mm.
sections. That's what you see on Twitter and Black Twitter and the spaces. That's what you see on Clubhouse. That's what you see on a shade room. You just see that everywhere that you turn around. They don't call it that, but that's what it is. You feel me? And it's becoming more prevalent than it was years ago, right? I'm seeing an increase in it. And I'm also seeing the ramifications of it. And I'm also seeing the residue that it's leaving behind, you know? So, but I'm also seeing at the same time, because this is about balance, but I'm also seeing people use the tools for its benefit and getting
Mm-hmm.
what they can get out of this whole ordeal. I'm seeing people tap into the healing. I'm seeing people taking the information and applying it. I'm seeing people get introduced to solutions, and then they using those solutions, and I'm seeing the result of that in their transformation, in their growth and development, in their healing. You know what I mean? So this is not for everybody. Everybody's not going to make it. You know what I mean? Everybody's not built for certain phases in this game,
For
especially what we're going through right now with this great reset. This 2 years of us sitting down was the opportunity for us to finally get in contact with us. Regardless of what was going on the outskirts, there was so many different scripts and plays at play, but ultimately the goal was to have the people sit down and to slow down and to look within. And one of the main tenets that we walk away with from that whole ordeal is health. Is health beyond anything else, health. So mental health, health of the heart. Our good brother Kevin Samuels died. I'm hoping not of an overdose, right? But as it stands, they're saying a heart condition, right?
mm.
Many of our men are dying because of heart conditions. Some of us
Mm-hmm.
have heart affairs of the hearts that are not healed. I know when I was going through my pain and my heartbreak, I felt like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't feel like I was living.
Mm.
I did not feel like that. I felt the pain of what a broken heart feels like. And I could understand how people could, depending on what the trauma is or their triggers, or how the other person who is hurting them are treating their heart. Man, people could get pushed off the edge.
Mm.
You know, where is the community, or where's the council in our community that deals with the affairs of the heart. If there's somebody that breaks up in a relationship where they end a marriage or where they end a conservative, they end a live-in relationship, they end a lituationship, they end a situationship, they end a long-term or a short-term relationship. Where's the counsel? Where's the outlet? Where's the elders? Where's the professionals? Where's the experts who help us with closure? Because if you don't have closure, you should have intro and closure. There should be something set up in our communities that when I meet someone and I'm courting her, I could be able to go and get a reading. I could be able to go and get our cards done. I could get
Real
our charts lined up. I could get some energy work. I need to see what your aura is looking like. I'm not here to judge you. We just got to know what we're going to be working on with each other.
100%.
Right. Where are we going to bump heads? Because nobody said that this is not a Disney movie. I'm not looking for the perfect person to match that I don't have no conflict with. I'm ready for the friction, because in the friction is going to be the growth. You know what I mean? Once we
Yeah,
make it through
and it
that,
is about that level of growth. And I think
it
when people
is
stop growing, I call it unreachable.
unreachable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a woman knows, they say women know when they're gonna leave. Yeah. A
Yeah,
woman
they know.
leaves mentally before she leaves, right?
Yes.
And I was listening to something the other day, and I said and it was on her Instagram, and I sent a message, and I said it was I call it unreachable, and they said yeah, and they agreed, but there's an unreachableness that what we find as women, are speaking on behalf of many of our sisters today. I know sisters will be like, yes, how much people are sisters gonna be like, yes, boy, yeah. Everyone's quiet now, but wait, it's the messages after. But the truth, what women experience, women want to be able, look, we are beings of love. Yeah. We want
Yes, you
to
are.
love each other. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We want to connect. It doesn't matter how digital the world gets, we'll always need that human connection. It's just a fact. Yeah. We'll always need human touch, eye contact, human connectivity. We'll always need it.
I
Yeah.
mean, a human being grows inside of your body.
Come on.
A whole human, right?
That's right.
Like that's why even as a father, the conversation we were having earlier about Father's Day, Mother's Day, I have to give it has to be greater than Father's Day, because a father, we plant the seed, but the seed grows inside of your body. That child is of you. When my son runs and grabs his mother's leg, and he's like hugging her leg, I'm like, she's like, oh, he's so cute. I love him. He's so attached to me. I'm like, he is you. He
That's right.
literally came from within you. Like we could say he's a whole nother human being, but he grew inside of you, babe. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's something that you have over us, and we have to acknowledge that, and we have to give that its rightful credit, and we have to be able to put that in its proper. I don't think we have put that in its proper position, and just in the scheme of things, we don't see we don't give it like a whole entire personality. Like when I'm looking at my 2-year-old and I'm just I'm in awe, and I'm like, yo, like you were literally, you know what I mean? Like I remember the whole process. And that is one of the most, as a human being, that's one of the most humblest experience.
Bro.
That is one of the most they call it the Kairos moment. It's a moment where time just freezes, like
Mm.
just the proof of life, right? They use that
For real.
word in technology now in
I
the
know. For
lexicon.
real.
But proof of
Yeah.
life, seeing life come through that birth canal, there's nothing more. That's the highest form of technology in my book on this
That's
planet.
beautiful.
It
That's
is. I'm
beautiful.
telling you, like you just recreated yourself. Like
For
you
real.
successfully cloned, yourself to be even greater than yourself. Because ultimately, that's what's supposed to be happening when you link up with your proper, not your better half, not your lesser half. And
Mm-hmm,
there's
mm-hmm.
technology right now, and there's science and there's tools that are pliable, that you could make that a fact. You don't have to speculate. The science is in, it's like undeniable science. Like the science is the science. If you're
Well,
playing,
I'm glad we talked about the science, because in the world of news, I was gonna go there, because finally, yeah, and I think this has an impact. I think, look, men are being emasculated. We know, yeah, and I respect you for your conversation around childbirth. You're present, yeah,
of course,
and not everybody is emotionally present. They're physically there, but they're not emotionally there, yeah. And I say to all men when I'm working with them, I say, how you treat a woman when she's pregnant, she will never, ever forget it. Yeah.
right.
It will stay with her for the rest of her life. So this is an opportunity for you to really transform, deal with yourself, take yourself on. This is the work. You're on a 9 months. Yeah. She's got someone growing in her. She's changing by default. Her molecular structure is shifting. I know that when I'm carrying my children, I know that is altering my DNA.
Right, your whole DNA.
I know that person that I choose, when I choose the children's names, I know that I almost embody that being. I can tell who you are before you're born.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just give them the name to go with it.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
And so far, 2 out of 3. I'm the youngest one is 8. 2 out of 3. Yeah, I'm winning.
Right,
In terms of my prophecy, I'm winning. So far. So I don't take that lightly. And I think women are taking, there's a whole conversation that's going on in the States around the abortion conversation, and we know what that's about. We know that that's about keeping their people in a space, because we know that they will die out within 4 generations. They're gone.
Facts.
Yeah. So we need to stop mixing in with them, yo. I'm all about that life. Yeah. There's that whole conversation about segregation. I don't think
it's a failed experiment. We have the receipts. It is a failed experiment compared to what we had prior to Jim Crow and prior to segregation. We had ownership of real estate.
That's right.
We had towns. We had villages. We had acres. We had estates. We were what is known. There's over 100 inventors that were melanated, and we did all of that on our own. We had black towns on our own. We had black banks on our own. We had transportation on our own. We had businesses on our own. We were being learned and taught each other on our own. So that's a failed experiment. The experiment of integrating. This is my thing, and it's a simple formula. I like to keep it very simple sometimes. When we linked in with the Europeans, did they start to come into our businesses and boost our businesses?
That's right.
Did they start coming to work for us?
Absolutely
and be
not.
the faces of our businesses?
Nope.
Did they start? Did our Fortune 500 companies go through the roof once it happened because they started bringing their brain drain and their expertise and their resources on this side? No, they said that you could come and work for us. You could go from cleaning our toilets to being our secretaries to being our managers and whatnot. They did not. It wasn't integrated fairly to whereas they came to work for us because we had black-owned businesses. We had the Negro Leagues. We had a lot of other things. Did they come and work for us? Did they come and rebuild Black Wall Street and begin to run those businesses? Did they take loans out and then integrate it infuse it into our quote unquote our businesses, our estates, our land? Because we had a lot of land back then. We had farmland, we had fertile land. What are you talking about? We had real estate. You feel me? They didn't do any of that. So it's a failed experiment. because people are still being, they're still powerless. They don't have the ideas to be owners anymore. They want to be hired. They want to be fired. They want to be chosen. Like, how dudes be like, I want Shorty to choose me. People are in a chosen. They find their self-worth in the fact that they've been chosen by corporate America to be one of their quote unquote minions. And that's a spell. That's a spell that's being broken by the many brothers and sisters who are becoming entrepreneurs and braving the choppy waters of believing in, having the audacity to believe in yourself, having the audacity to believe in your people and your network, having the audacity to to believe that you wasn't meant to make somebody else wealthy and and successful. And you gotta walk on eggshells every day.
And I think, and we have our own version over here. I mean, the community is, fairly small. With, over here is only 3% of us out here. Yeah, so we make up a small demographic in the world of small demographics. But, we have an
y'all was deep out there. I seen y'all. It was a big
come on
community out there. I was in Birmingham Veg. We don't call it Birmingham. I was in Birmingham Veg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we was at at a Black History, the Black History Month thing. That was huge. It was huge. I met hundreds of people.
We flex. Come on now, we flex now. Family, we flex.
But yeah, imagine if that 3%. Imagine when that 3% grows to 30%.
Well, we gotta keep those babies coming now. We gotta keep those babies coming. And we've got to also, really got to expand ourselves inside of our thinking and how we work together. And going back to the, the source of this conversation, like if we're wounded,
right.
Our infrastructures are going to be slower to develop. We only have to look at what's going on the continent.
Right.
Yeah. Our infrastructures are slower because of the in-house fighting. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what it's like for you as a brother in a community. I can imagine that, there'll be people will be like, well, you know what? They love you, but they also love you and hate you at the same time.
Yeah. Of course. There's treachery out here.
Yeah. Well, real talk.
There's treachery out here.
It's true. I'm not even going to lie. It's true. Yeah. And, but, I know that also it's about how men, like when we talk about the phoenix through the ashes, it's about men recognizing healing's all about identifying.
Right.
So we've got to identify. We've got to get to a point where we're willing. I know sisters are willing, but I want our brothers to get on the same page. It's about us coming together. This manosphere is literally going to think us out of existence. Yeah. If we're not careful, it's going to think us out of creating babies in the same way families. Yeah. Our birth rate, will slow down. Right. It's already slowing down. Yeah.
Well,
in the West, not necessarily across the continent, but in the West, people are being, babies are being born. Sex will always happen. Right. Okay. Yeah. But I'm talking about those kinds of conscious family dynamics where you consciously choosing to have that family and put something in place. If a woman is this and a man is that, then people are going elsewhere, and we don't want all of that. Yeah. Right. We want people to be coming home to, we want our children to pick someone that looks like, so therefore we've got to do some work. And it means even if you're together, you're separated, you live abroad, you're co-parenting, I cannot stress it enough how important it is for us to do the work, because our children are watching.
Right. Facts.
And this is the era where our children, it's not back in the days where our children didn't notice. And then, our children will always get to a point in their teenage years where if you look at their parents and go, boy, you know what, my parents weren't even all that, or whatever it is. We all go through that. Well,
right. We do.
We all have that experience.
Yeah, it's in the home.
Exactly. We all have at the same, we either parent like our parents or parent aside from our parents. Yeah, we literally do either or, really. So it's a case of how do we start getting into a place where we can choose each other, yeah, effectively.
Right.
What say you?
Well, first and foremost, the best place that we have to be able to begin to add more value into each other. You know what I mean? We don't value each other enough. We don't put enough value in each other. I think that our people have been cursed with the spell of Americanism, which is the spell of individuality, right? Versus what we see, the Chinese doing, and other people like the Indians and whatnot, a lot of the Asians, how they move as a unit. Americans have a consumer mind, and we've been taught to think individual. So even if there's people around us that have value, we'll refuse to acknowledge it because somehow, some way, people feel like that they'll take value away from them, right? And we're always in this competitive dog eat dog mentality, this Romanistic mentality, this Greco-Roman mentality of, always want to be highest on a hierarchy ladder, right? And this is where the schizophrenia kicks in. This is where the narcissistic personality orders to kick in. This is where the dark tetrad, the dark triad, being being emotionalist, being non-compassionate towards people's plight.
Apathy.
Yeah, apathy. Yeah. Right. And only thinking of being self-centered, thinking about yourself, putting yourself needs over everything else, putting your desires over, what the people really need, putting your bruised ego, over, helping the people, choosing the route that Cypher did in the Matrix to eat the steak rather than to stay loyal and protect the Zion. I'm talking about selling the people out for some coins. And we've seen it, right? The ancestors have been delivering lesson after lesson to all of us that are of the conscious community. And this is beyond YouTube lessons. These are life lessons. They get reported about on YouTube, or sometimes they don't even talk about it on YouTube. But people have been getting sat down, locked up. They've been getting exposed. They've been getting their pants pulled down. The emperor has no clothes. The people have been shown their fangs. They've been introduced to, some of these people's shadow selves. And the majority of these assailants have similar quote unquote backstories, and it deals with parental issues, parental trauma. The fact that they haven't embraced the healing before thousands of people. So the more people that you're being in front of, non-healed and whatnot, and they're feeding a part of your ego that's not a part of your ego, that's not attached to a lower part of yourself, because ego is good. You know what I mean? But how are you channeling that info? How are you, is the ego in control of you, or you in control of the ego? You know what I'm talking about? Because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we've been seeing that take place. And one of the quote unquote red flags moving forward is the abuse of power. It will be exposed. It will be struck down. You know what I mean? That's when people are going to get, taken, their power is going to get taken from them. And I'll be damned. But that's what I've been seeing outside of other things, So we, we would fare better by being able to restore the value in those amongst us who should be appreciated for the work that they do. We should be able to reward those people, right, with all of the resources that they need, because collectively we are a multi-billion-dollar movement, right? Collectively. But like I said a minute ago, individually, we don't see our power because the power is not in the individual, especially in this digital economy that we live in, this mandated off of numbers and whatnot. The algorithm is built off of this is a numbers game. So even if you have what is known as useless eaters just to boost your numbers, it's still not a bad thing. You dig what I'm saying? So if you could monetize your numbers, if you could turn your numbers into something sustainable and whatnot, then you can make more impact and your numbers can grow. So collectively, if we were to come to the table and realize our worth in the now, and then go ahead and work and move on it, even if we were to take a test to see if it works or not, and to prove to ourselves that it does work, then we could come back to the table with a conversation that's going to deal with really realizing our true worth as the collective. And then once we build ourselves up as the collective, then we could individually start building the individuals up and whatnot. But as a group mind, as a group body, as a group thing, from across the pond, because if you could see me on the internet, then there is no distance. There's no such thing as distance. People be like, where you at? In your living room. I'm on your phone. You know what I'm talking about? There is no where you at. I'm right here.
For real.
I'm right here. I might as well be right there with you. There's no separation. You know what I mean? You wouldn't know where I was at. It wouldn't matter. If you could see me and hear me right now, that's where I'm at. Don't get caught up in all of that other stupidness. We are in this quantum realm. All is mental. We in this mentalism, this mental universe. This is about this experience that we're experiencing is mandated off of the senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, all of that. As spirit, as sentient light beings, we don't have these experiences. So we're here to have as much experiences as possible. So in the age of experience, I've experienced a lot of things on my own, and I'm going to continue to experience life on my own. But I want to experience the power of the network, of the collective, because I feel that that's where the magic is. So you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So I can't even begin to say what we can do or what we can't do, because we haven't even tried all of the options out yet.
We haven't exhausted all our options.
We ain't exhausted all our options yet. You know what I'm talking about? We have not. So I can't assess that question in its totality. I could just be like, we'll see.
Well, I want to kind of talk about this, and I appreciate that. I want to go on now to talk a little bit about this dialogue, also about value. Yeah, you mentioned it a little bit, and this whole thing about the high value man, high value woman. Yeah.
Yes.
And I talk about, before anything else, choose someone who highly values you. That's the first thing. Yeah. Right. And I think, again, I have to talk about, I'm bringing this up and I'm bringing this conversation up, and it might seem, to some people it'll be so trivial, but women will be having these conversations like, how are men finding themselves how are our brothers, like, if you've been in this thing for 10, 20 years or more, our brothers were not talking like they're talking now about women. They weren't.
Right.
I was coming from the school where, put the goddess up front. I came through that.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know about this whole, well, she's high value, you're not high value, etc. And and what's tricky about this, and I think I want to burst the bubble right now, because I know that men have come to a conclusion, a lot of men, not all, but a lot of men have come to the conclusion that, okay, money equals high value women. Yeah. And some of our brothers will be pretending that they're not on that thing, and they're on it, Yeah, they're on this thing. Yeah, you can hear it in how they the certain elements of their being, they've shifted from 10 years ago. They're listening to this thing. Yeah, because they're not the same guys. They don't even think about women in the same way. So from 10 years ago, you can hear the hurt.
Right.
You can hear it if you're perceptive.
Right, right.
And so I'm saying, okay, how do, we have to get away from, and I want brothers to really get this. Women aren't about money. Not our sisters. I don't know about those sisters out there. Yeah, I can't speak for them. Okay, I can speak for this kind of community. Yeah, and a lot of our brothers from this community are thinking, well, if I've got money, I'm going to be good. Yeah, money does not make you high value. Yeah,
right.
Because you can have all the money in the world and not be able to treat someone well.
Right.
Character is everything. Everything. Because character is who you're going to be raising your children with.
Right.
Character is who your children are going to look up to. Character is the person who your children meet the teacher, and the teacher's like that parent.
Right.
Character. Yeah.
Right.
And I just want to burst that bubble today. Yeah. Because it's a bubble that is kind of growing, and men are like, we're entrepreneurial. So we think, we can make, we're like, we're creative beings. We can make money out of very little. Yeah.
Right.
In the Caribbean, call it make a mickle out of a muckle. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we have that beauty and power to create and monetize. We just, we're just beautiful like that.
Yes,
we really are quite unique.
Yes, y'all are.
We aren't here. This planet would have died off a long time ago.
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll be looking at shrubs right now. Yeah.
Big, shrubbery. You're done though.
Real
big
cool.
Shrubbery.
So I'm just saying, we got to recognize our beauty in that. Yeah.
Right.
And turn the soil, if you like, on ourselves. Yeah. We got to reconfigure. Yeah. This notion. Yeah. Reconfigure now. Reconfigure. I want a soundtrack. I want some sound for that. I want some sound. I love this guy. So I'm saying, it's about reconfiguring. And I want our brothers today, I know a lot of our brothers will be watching this. They won't watch it now, they'll watch it later or what have you, they'll pass it on. But I want our brothers to get that. Going on its own. I want our brothers to get today that is not it. Yeah, that is not it. And anyone, the sisters, put in the chat if you don't believe me. Tell me if I'm lying. Tell me if I'm lying, yo. Yeah, if I'm lying, I want to see it in the chat and I'll put it up. You sis, look, you're lying. Yeah. I know that our sisters are not on that. So you could have all the money you want. You can be as entrepreneurial as you want. You can have all the brands you want. And we're still going to look at the content of your heart.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. So I want our brothers. That's why, taking it back to this conversation, I want our brothers to get the healing. My sons have got to be raised in an environment amongst some of these same said brothers.
Right.
They are going to engage at some point during their lives. Right. Yeah, even now, but as old adults, they will engage with these men. And I know my eldest already is a little bit like, he was hot. I came in at a time when I just was having him, yeah.
Right.
And he was hardcore, we were hardcore.
Right.
Up to the nines, those was.
Right, it'd be like that. You know what I mean?
That part. Yeah, pinky, everything.
Fist in the air, right. You come in 10 toes down.
Yeah. We were hardcore. I was hardcore.
Nah, I already know it. I don't really know.
But I recognize, I look at my eldest, and my eldest talked to me about, okay, you know what? He has always been into politics since he was 12, right?
Yeah.
So he's looking at the whole, even talked about, what politics will look like and how to make a move, go in and, change it on the inside, all these kind of things. Fine. But he was looking at, he's had conversations with me. This is where I say all our children will come back to us and have a conversation. You better believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so all those fathers out here who are doing X, Y, and Z to the mothers of their children, just know that your sons or daughters at some point are going to have to come back. You're going to have to face your children, Know this.
Facts.
Yeah. And so I had to face a really harsh reality with my eldest son. My eldest son was like, well, boy, you know what? I hear you. I love, you know, I know that you're on this thing, mum. But what you got? What has the community got? And that hurt, man.
Right.
That hurt. Yeah. We're still, or every, you know, we do a lot of different things. Where's our buildings? And now in America, I know that they're maybe more inclined to put together and maybe have some buildings together. But over here, I'm if anyone knows of any building that we own that we're doing something in, please put it in the chat. I'll wait.
Right.
Crickets. Yeah. Because it's real. So whilst we're thinking about involving ourselves in being high value men or high value women, where's our building? When you can put a building down, you can talk about high value. Okay? Because that's what high value looks like, because you're building for the next generation. A lot of us are building for right now.
Right.
Or building up for our own egos, which is what you were talking about a bit earlier, like building our egos and such. Yeah.
Right.
It's like you can't function from there. And then a lot of us sorry, I'm laughing at the chat. Crickets. Yes, girl, you know, yeah. And so I just, you know, I'm at that point. Women and women who might, women might want to have more children or looking at a potential mate to have children with. We're like, what's in place? How do you protect our daughters and sons?
Right.
How do you protect our daughters from predators if you yourself might be a predator? Come on, let's say it now.
Right.
Let's say it now. You can't protect your daughter if you're a predator to your maybe the mother of your child or to some other woman that we don't know about in the wings there. Yeah. Abuse is real. Okay. It's very real. I've dealt with it. Most women, I don't know a woman that hasn't. Okay. So let's just not pretend that, you know, it's all roses out here.
Right. Now
Yeah.
it's real in the field. It's dark and hell is hot.
And we have to get to a point, you know, a lot of brothers, we talk about value, we talk about submission. Yeah. Submission is earned.
Right.
Yeah. A woman, you know, you're not going to walk down the street and submit to, you know, the guy.
Right. You ain't gonna just walk into something and submit just because.
Right. And there's an expectation that being conscious means being submissive.
Really?
And there's you know, ta-da, she's submissive. And I know I went through the starry-eyed submission phase. Yeah. We all got burnt there.
Right.
Yeah, we all got burnt on that one. Yeah, look.
It's all phases. Yeah, it's one of the many phases. It's
That's
all
right.
phases.
You know?
It's all cycles.
And you learn. Okay, you know what? You submitted to the wrong one. That's all you learn about submission. It's not that women won't submit. It's that we have to work out who we should submit to.
Right.
That's all. And, you know, whoever it, and women, I can tell you now, if you don't know, brothers over here in England here, yeah, because I think brothers in America might know this, but I'm telling you now, women, myself and other women, we have that conversation all the time about submission, about the want to. We want to.
Facts.
But you haven't, what, you want us to submit to the air that you're breathing. You want us to submit to your accolades. Who are you? What's your heart, content of your heart, ma'at feather? Yeah? What's the content of your heart, your character? Yeah? So many women, you're talking about the masculinization of women, and women want to surrender into their feminine. They want to surrender. Women aren't getting a chance. We're in a masculinized society, and women are not getting a chance to be feminine. And when you're feminine, often a man will think, okay, take that kindness for weakness. So you have to be strong, you have to be this, you have to be all of these things that you don't want to be.
Right.
And I'm asking our brothers, yeah, I'm asking you, let it go. So that we can submit to you.
Right.
Because ultimately we want the same thing. You want a woman that can submit to you, and we want a man that can trust. It's a win.
Hold on.
It's clear. It's clear. The man, see the thing? So I'm just saying to our brothers, come on. Allow yourself the permission to heal. Give yourself permission to do the work. Yeah, because your brothers may not be doing the work with you. It's okay.
Yeah.
Your journey is your journey.
It's
yeah.
yours
And
at the end of the day. Ain't nobody there to hold your hand.
Yeah. So
it's
when I say at the beginning of the show about men having a space is getting created for men to heal the mother wound, that could potentially heal so much around your. Remember, that's the original relationship now. That's the origin story now.
All right.
Come on now. So if you're talking about your origin story and you don't address your origin story, okay. I mean?
Nah, you on point with that.
I want our brothers to get to a point where, like, you know what? Surrender to yourself.
Right.
Surrender to the work you know needs to be done. Yeah, your friends are not going to do it with you. This is not their journey. This is yours. And if it was my sons, and I say it to men because I've got 3 sons, and if my sons were hurting, I'm going to tell them. And I say, do this, let's look at this, blah, 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 read this. I'm going to go in. And then when you, as a sister, you put it to a brother, it's cute when you meet them, right? You know, so cute. It's cute when you meet them and you've got all these, and you're a woman that reads.
Right.
It's not cute when you give them the book, though. Come on now, ladies. You know what I'm saying? Sisters know what I'm talking about. And I call that unreachable.
Right.
Stop being unreachable.
Right.
Yeah, we love you.
Be willing to receive.
Yeah, it's cyclical.
Yeah. Gotta be open on both sides.
Yeah, you have to surrender. We can submit, but you have to surrender to love. You have to surrender. When you're talking about heart attacks, heart conditions,
yes,
that's linked to squeezing the joy out of life. That's what it's linked to from an ontological perspective.
Right.
So you're squeezing the joy out of life. And when I think about Kevin Samuels, I think, wow, that's really interesting. That's linked to that. And he could have died any which way, you know, but it was the heart. And that is linked to squeezing the joy out of life.
Right.
So I said, yo, look at that. Yeah. So I implore our brothers. I ask. Yeah. Our brothers to take, and you know, when we talk about Brothers Keeper, I don't know how this Brothers Keepers thing's going to go down. Yeah. Because if, let's say now, all right, you got an issue and you want to go and you might speak to a brother about it, but another brother ain't got that issue. Yeah. Right. And it's a deep one, you know, one of those deep ones. Yeah. You have like an insight, an epiphany. Yeah. So I'll ask you now, I'll even ask you. When that happens for a brother, if a brother gets an epiphany, which brothers do, of course, when our brothers get an epiphany about something that is quite deep and was obscured from their view, what do they do with that?
They create brands. They create products. They create content. They create books. You know, they create conversations with those downloads. I've seen it happen on many occasions.
Good.
If they belong to a lodge, they take that information and get it interpreted by individuals in that lodge that have the quote unquote qualifications to do such. If they belong to a gang, you know, they share with their gang members as a
Mm-hmm.
precursor to things that may be coming. If they're into the spiritual systems, they share it with their Oba and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different interpretations based off of, you know, your perception, who you are. How do you perceive
Mm.
what you receive? How do you perceive what you receive? Right? Because you believe what you perceive. So the key is to change the beliefs. So you'll start seeing things differently versus the way that you keep seeing things, and it might not be what you think it is. Because your perception is based off of, you know, of your understanding of the things that you are perceiving. So sometimes we have a limited perception off of what we see because of our limited education on those things. They keep it at 2D, and there's like a 5D, 6D definition to many of the things that we're seeing. They keep us in spooky superstition, spookism, doubt, disbelief, you know, constant questioning of, did I see that? Yes, you did. And this is what it is. And this is why you saw it. And it don't have no European's fingerprints on it. He's not sending anything your way. He's not in control of anything that's happening that you're seeing. That's not his, he is not that powerful. His power, if he does have power, that's not where it's working at. His power is fooling you in the material world and the illusionary world and whatnot. You're fooling yourself in the spiritual world. You're denying yourself. You're giving that spiritual power to him. And he's not been known to do that type of work. He does a great shadow, you know, he does a great chaos magic impression, you know, and he's good with destruction and other things, you know, but no, that's really that's you doing it to yourself. That's the programming working
But let me ask
backwards.
you a question though, right? So you
Yes.
said something, you said about what men do with that when they get that insight. And I'm going to challenge that because I think that's maybe part of the challenge that women face with our brothers. When a man gets insight, he will create content with it. Yeah. And one of the complaints, if you like, in our community is that the more informed a man our brothers get in our community,
Right.
the less connected to their heart they become.
Right.
Because they're intellectualizing and
Right.
capitalizing on their insight or any hard work almost as a way of deflection. Yes, they're making money, content, popularity, notoriety, which is unnatural for men. Men want purpose. They want to have something to, you know, they want legacy. Yes. But then also what can happen with that is that there becomes more of a disconnect to the actual doing the work because they become maybe there's an illusion
Of course.
of, well, grandeur.
The delusions of grandeur. They get hypnotized by fame.
Come on. Yeah, you know, believe in their own hype and that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so it's like, and that's what we see all the time, things springing up in our community amongst our brothers all the time. But then we're no closer to those brothers being healed. They've just got more things to hide behind.
Right.
See?
Right. Henceforth, why that is a failed experiment as well. We've seen it over the years. We've seen what it could have been and what it turned up to be. It's a failed experiment. If getting more trinkets and if picking up more material or if burning out your desires was the key to healing, then these Negroes would be healed and they wouldn't be in the type of situations that they're in collectively. You know, we know that doesn't work. Chasing that's a dragon right there. And we know that that's not the key to our collective healing from a place where I could learn from your, I could learn from you. People, I'm not learning that. Oh, I could get these sneakers. Oh, I could I could wear this. Oh, I could buy this. Oh, I got more than you. Oh, this is how much people pay me a month to teach them how to try to be like me. And it's like, that falls under, influencer marketing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a niche for that. You know what I mean? Like there's a whole cottage industry for that. And that's where that belongs. I'm more talking about people that are really living out the mythos in real time. I'm really talking about people that are making, they're shifting the culture, not just overnight, just their contribution has helped to shift the paradigm, like literally,
For
you
sure.
know,
For sure.
and they're part of a collective. I'm not looking for the individuals. I'm looking for the collective, because the collective has to answer for each other. The collective is more responsible than the individual, because the collective, there's nobody is above the collective. Nobody is above, the brand. Nobody is beyond the brand. Nobody's bigger than the brand. You know what I mean? The
Mm-hmm.
brand will not have to, nobody is above reproach.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to be held accountable. Even as we move forward, the way the technology is being set up right now, there's new technology that allows us to navigate in those type of waters. A DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, DeFi, decentralized finance. There's all of these things that have popped up that are like tools that if we really are serious, we could make this thing move overnight. It's nothing in our way but us. There's really no resistance. The resistance is the ego. The resistance is the trauma bonding. Not want, wanting, feeling comfortable just being in your trauma or in your quote unquote victimhood, where you don't have to produce results and you don't have to sweat, you don't have to work hard. But if you see other people that are sweating and working hard and doing heavy lifting, you should come and join, and then you could really see the fruits of your labor. You know what I mean? Because the possibilities are endless.
Mm.
Possibilities are endless.
And I think, and look, I know that I want our possibilities to be endless, but I think we have to again go back to that space. Again, it goes back to balance.
Of
Yeah.
course.
We have to keep going back to that level and of balance, because the more we have, you can't die with all of that. Look, I was saying it in the last one, and if you haven't seen the last one, or it's your first time on Got Kush, thank you very much for coming to the space. Our last time that we were here, we were talking about healing the mother wound, and I said and I actually have been doing the work on healing the mother wound myself, right? Of course, yeah, you can't be sitting up here and not doing the work. And for me, I've been doing the work a long time, so it wasn't hard for me. I came across this sister in the lockdown, and I was like, wow, you know what? That is an area. And it was about healing the mother wound, whether you had the absence or, the physical absence or the emotional absence.
Right.
And I know that my father, the impact of my father had an impact on my mother, which had an impact on her mothering. I know. And I also know we were talking about my mother's emotional history.
Right.
So her history from her mother and my grandmother to her mother. What's your emotional history? Or her story or his story, yeah. Which really defines a lot of who you are. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Big time.
And so we want to get to a point where there's accountability for it. And I know we talked about, the trauma bonds. You mentioned the trauma bonds, and a lot of us, we have trauma. My two parents, they were teenage parents, really, realistically. Yeah. They came through a period of time when there was some kind of, like, the civil rights were just coming through in them kind of times over here.
Right.
And the Black Panthers was an influence on them, yeah, at that time as well.
Right.
and Lovers Rock, if you know anything about the Lovers Rock
Yeah, I
era.
know
I'm the
about that.
Lovers Rock baby now. And and the time that was, and that was a beautiful time. I remember the Lovers Rock era. It was beautiful. And that's why this is important to me, because I remember my mom and my stepdad and myself looking up and holding their hands while they're rocking. Yeah, they're not even moving. You know those ones, right? You know them ones.
Right.
You know they one. And they're just having a little rock, and I'm holding, and I'm just looking up at them. Like, those are memories.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That will never I'll never forget them. I'll never forget those kinds of memories. And I think we have to be mindful that we're creating memories for our children, not just, for out there. Yeah. In for our fans, or our, for publicity or notoriety, whatever. Yeah. We're creating those memories. And so, accountability matters. Yeah. Our accountability to each other. I think you got feedback on. There's a little feedback here. Can you hear a little feedback?
Oh, no. You good?
Yeah, I'm all right now. I'm cool. And but what I find is that, we have to be mindful that the wounded need to take themselves on, because a lot of them become narcissistic. Yeah. And start hiding in plain sight. Yeah. Or hiding amongst the good ones. And the good ones, if you like, get caught in the crossfire. And there's this whole thing around co-signing. Yeah. Co-signing behavior.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And my sisters know me. I'm about accountability. So if my sisters say to me, like, you didn't handle that right, sis, I'm gonna say, you know what? I don't like what you're saying, but you know what? You're my sister, and I need to hear that. I don't need an echo chamber of friends. I don't. I need my friends around me to say, okay, you know what? That works, that doesn't. That worked, that didn't. What have you? Like, be straight.
Right.
Yeah. So, but when you're direct, often, as a woman, when you're direct with men, oh my gosh, you're masculine. Yeah. I look at Nanny Maroon and, like, them women, they were straight talking, sharpshooters. Yeah. You can't expect your woman, I don't know what the men are thinking, what kind of perception men have at the moment of how women should be. But I can tell you now, if a war happened tomorrow, you ain't going to want no woman that's going to just pick up daisies. Yeah. You ain't.
That's right.
Yeah. You're going to want a woman that knows how to fight.
Yeah. This new breed of women, I feel they will surprise us at war.
Come on now.
Yeah. I think
a lot of us are ready, we're ready, We're ready.
I think y'all being prepared for a battle. You know what I mean? I just feel like y'all are being, Big Mama's here. I feel that Kali Ma energy, that Sekhmet energy, they just dropped the trailer yesterday for that movie with the sister Viola Davis as the Amazon, as the homie tribe. So that's gonna program the minds of the babies all the way up to, some of our grandmothers. Look, they just found an arrest warrant for the woman who was responsible for Emmett Till's murder. She's a white grandmother, right? Okay. She's allowed to, walk around, but she was responsible for the murder to help kick off the whole civil rights movement. That was the Emmett Till murder.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's this, so we it's time for protection, yes, to show the Black woman that she is protected by both going out and enacting justice, because Emmett Till's mother deserves justice. So to protect her, we have to go and arrest that lady. You know what I'm saying? There should be 1,000 Black men, going to put handcuffs on her. We should put 1,000 handcuffs on her. It doesn't matter her age, because, she has to be held accountable for, and every, and many others, but it should be symbolic, because that's what they've been doing to put our people in such an inferior place and state of mind. They've been doing a lot of symbolism, a lot of symbolic rituals on us. So y'all deserve to be protected. One of the things that men are lashing out against is the fact that you said that women are not into the money, and it's not about the money, but they see that society is, hypnotizing a large contingency of our women to make it about the money. So naturally, men are being opposed to that, and they're lashing out in ways to whereas they're not being fair in their quote unquote protests. They're not being fair in their assessments, or they're being very dismissive rather than to be submissive and say, look, that shit, every time somebody takes advantage of you, that's a piece of our power that is being taken from us. Like, we can't become more powerful by, having you subject yourselves to such low frequency, powerless actions to do what? To pay a bill for some fiat. You're giving out something precious, which is your life, which is your body, which is your essence, what's divine, for some bread, for a cash app. So men are naturally going to push back against that. I think men and women should be pushing against that in a sense. I think the conversation shouldn't come from a place of hurt, though, and negativity and toxicity. What about addressing our sisters in love? So the probability, if I were to put the men going their own way on a Las Vegas prediction market, I would say that hopefully sometime down the line, somebody, a more polarizing figure than Kevin Samuels, who is the godfather, who is basically their guru right now, the same way that Sabi was for herbs. He's going to be for the men going their own way in a red pill community and men of that mind state. And that's what I said. The biggest unfortunate aspect is that he went in 2 years and we did not get to see the caterpillar turn into the butterfly, right? He had potential. He had big potential. But I promise you, his healing, if it was to be seen in front of the people, it had the potential to heal millions.
Yeah, he would have.
Because that's how you heal. That's how you have to heal. You got to get on the cross sometimes. You have to be the living example in the testament. It's almost like if I read a book about climbing a mountain, or if I actually climbed that mountain, then when it's come time for me to teach the people about the mountain climb, I'm going to speak from a position of experience versus books or intellect, right? Or logic, right? I'm going to speak to you, to your heart, not your minds. So it's the heart brain and it's the mind brain. What are people communicating to and fro these days? You know what I mean? What's most important? We're in the days and times where you're going to have to be able to trust your intuition more than your eyes to know what it is that you're looking at, because you might not know what you're looking at. That goes all the way down to them being able to do deep fakes. That goes all the way down to virtual reality. That goes all the way down to them being able to put out clones. That goes all the way down to them, being able to, use Operation Blu-ray, right? Which is, you'll have something in front of you and you think that it's real and it's a hologram. There's so many different illusions. There's so many different tricks that can fool you. There's so many different quote unquote false veils. There's so many things that can trick you right now. You have no idea. So it's very advantageous to be very sober minded, very alert, have your third eye decalcified and open, and being able to tap into your intuition, being able to listen to the first voice. So yeah.
I appreciate that. And I wanna kind of talk about, I want to ask you this question actually, because I think there's that kind of like myth around it still. There's this kind of conversation. I was having a conversation with my sons the other day about, we're talking about men providing, protecting, the women, right? And they were like, well, you provide and protect, mum. And I was really uncomfortable with that, I felt very uncomfortable that my sons could say that. And that's what children see. That's what our sons see. They see the women now provide and protect for themselves. Yeah. Hence why women become more, you know, in society, it looks like women are becoming more masculinized. It's a standard thing, you know, like, you know, women are going to raise this whole thing about, you know, when can women raise boys or not. We're not going to be perfect at it, but we're going to do it anyway. Please, that's the disclaimer. We're going to do it anyway. Okay. Yeah. If we don't know how to teach them how to, we don't worry. We'll phone one of our brother men and they will tell us.
We'll figure it out.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. It will still happen. They won't pee on the wall. Yeah.
Right.
They'll be okay. Yeah, many a man has survived being in a single mother parent household.
Many, right.
Yeah. So when men say things like that, I get very concerned when that comes out of the lips of our brothers, you know, because I'm like, I get your point, but you're not expanding your points. You're not. What you're saying is, okay, it's just bog standard, women can't do it. Well, I've got 3 sons and I have to do what I have to do. Yeah. And they're all right. Yeah, they're doing okay. Yeah, they're alive and well, and they're good. Yeah, none of us say that their fathers haven't been inside the space or what have you, but yeah, it's important for our sons to recognize. Of course, I'd love my children not to think like that and feel like, you know what, yes, that's our role. But I think as my sons see that, yeah, mom is provider, protector, if you like, then because then there becomes again an impact. And I go back to Kevin Samuels. I mean, I'm glad that you're so optimistic about his transformation. Yeah. I can't see that it was going, personally, I can't see it was going to happen. Yeah. If you've got a backstory like that, and you've spent the last however many years talking the way you've been talking, you're in a disconnect, you know. That's a disconnect from the source, which is your origin story out here. Yeah. If you don't get in touch with that, if your father's a Rolling Stone, you need to have a conversation with your father. If your mother, you know, you weren't comfortable with what's going on, went down with you and your mom, that needs to be handled. Because, you know, I remember coming across a book called, you know, Why Men Can't Love. There's books now. Yeah, it's becoming a pandemic in its own right. And no, we're not in. Somebody said, "Are we still in lockdown?" No, we're talking about the aftermath here. We're still in the aftermath. Don't forget. Don't be fooled into thinking we're not in some kind of aftermath. That something is not coming around the corner.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's why we're still in this conversation. Yeah, if nothing happens at the end of the year, we might just shift things. But for now, for the last 2 Decembers, we know what time it is. So we ain't going nowhere at the moment, yeah, until we know this thing is done or we don't have to be talking about it again. Yeah, it's a historical event back there. Yeah, right now we're still dealing with the aftermath and the impact of it and how 25% of women experience, you know, it was like 25% increase in domestic abuse, domestic violence.
Right.
In a lot, like, explain that then. Yeah, explain what that did to us in the community. Let's unpack that.
Right.
Yeah, because we want to just, I appreciate it. Look, I love the fact that we've moved away from it and, you know, everybody's back in the vibration. But I'm like, I'm clocking it like, you know what, there was an impact, you know. And I'm interested in the impact so that if we go back into that space, while we have the people that we have on here inside of this space, is that, you know what, if we go back into all these resources are right here for you and go back, who can you contact? Who did I contact? Who did contact during the lockdown? This. Yeah, these are the people. A lot of the people who are guests are the people that I was connected to in the lockdown space.
Right.
Yeah, because it was clear that, you know what, I'm not about to lose touch with reality out here for these people.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm very conscious of this whole thing about provide and protect. And do you feel that men it's still their role? Has it died? Yeah, has the conversation died? You know, we're all equal. Because you know what, I'm going to be straight. We're not equal. Yeah. I'm sorry, ladies. And I'm sorry if anyone comes to me and says, oh my gosh, you said it. Yeah, I said it.
Right.
Because we're not. Physically, we're not. Emotionally, we're not.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not. We complement one another, but we're not built the same. Your whole human being grow inside of you. Like, yeah. That makes us not equal.
We're not built the same. We're not wired the same. And guess what? It's okay.
Right. It's quite okay. All right. It is quite all right. Right.
Like, do you want a woman? You know what? You know, when sometimes when guys say, I tell you how one of the ways that men masculinize women, a lot of men do this. When you speak to a woman who's a fairly feminine woman and you say to her, yeah, man, yeah, man, yeah, man. A woman feels that on the inside, you know?
Right.
A woman feels that even if she can rap with you and chop it up with you, she feels that. And what happens is a man masculinizes a woman there and then on the spot without even knowing it.
Mm.
So anytime a man's going, yeah, you know, treating her like one of the man them, and you calling her man, because she don't call you girl.
Right. That's disrespect.
She don't go, you know what? Yeah, girl. She don't say it to her brother.
Right.
But a brother would say that naturally, but without necessarily knowing that actually every time he does that, it compounds the masculinization of the black woman.
Interesting. Yes, interesting.
So it's all about your language.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. You know, that whole thing around, you know, our love languages, you know, it's a real thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Yeah, our language is different. Yeah, how you love and how I love is completely different. You know, get down with it, and also study even how your parents love.
Right.
Yeah, because we don't even think about, okay, what's my parents' love language? You know, you're looking for something from your parent, and you are, let's say, acts of service. Yeah, and your parents like, I appreciate, you know, words of affirmation.
Right.
There's a disconnect, but that's okay if you can reconfigure now.
Right.
So I'm saying language matters. And so, you know, I've got a couple of books here, yeah, that I don't know why no one's even using these books in our community, but I'll tell you now, these are jewels. Yeah. This one here, can you see? That's
okay,
the one.
Ron Elmore.
Yep. And this one here, How to Love a Black Man, How to Love a Black Woman. These are gold.
Okay.
Gold. These are a game changer. Absolute game changer. Yeah. All the other books, yeah. A lot of books about this and a lot of books about that. But, you know, we never discuss and explore how to love each other.
Right.
Yeah. So loving yourself, and, you know, this whole thing about, you know, let's love yourself. You can love yourself all day long, but do you know how to love someone else outside of yourself? Because that's where we get kind of like a warped thinking about, you know what, self-love and filling my cup. And I get worried when I hear too much of that, even from our sisters. I'm like, be cool now.
Right.
Because it's a balance. Yeah. When you know, self-indulgent. And this society, remember, I remember that why you interested me originally when you started talking about narcissism, because I remember when in 2016, when Trump came in, and the magazine Psychology Today said the year of the narcissist. I said, yo. And that shifted things. I saw a shift in our men. Kevin Samuels came into the fold them times there. Yeah.
Right. Whoever's in the Oval Office, that energy permeates, you know, he's in the Oval Office.
Trust me. And so a lot of our brothers, if we look at Boris Johnson, another one of those types, yeah, you can see it. I love the tennis, yeah. So, you know, Serena Williams, my girl, you know what, it was too soon. You know, let your body heal now. Yeah, message to Serena. Right. Yeah, it was too soon after birth. Yeah. That's how women get things like prolapse wounds out here. Yeah, doing too much too soon. Relax. Yeah, go easy. It's okay. But, you know, there's a tennis player called Nick Kyrgios. Yeah, so I love the tennis, right? And if you follow his story right about now, I mean, he's going to be up in court in a bit, but he is, you know, very, you know, I want to do it my way. And a lot of our brothers, he reminds me of a lot of our brothers. I want to do it my way. Yeah, and that's beautiful. And I love our passion to do things our own way. Right. But I get concerned when our brothers want to do things our own way to the point where they become, call it aggressive, call it violent, abusive, competitive with our sisters as well. There's nothing worse than a man that's competing with you. I have to say, it is so awful. Yeah. When you're in a relationship, or if you're with brothers who, men who compete with women, I got no ratings for you. I'm sorry, just don't.
No ratings.
Yeah, I just don't, because I just think, you know what, you compete in your own league and we compete in ours if we compete at all. And I have a say. One of my sayings one of the sayings that are out there, not even mine. Yeah, girls compete, women empower. So I'm not even on that game.
Right.
Yeah, with you. Yeah. So imagine now a brother trying to compete with me. What can you do?
Yeah, that's a no. That's a dub. That's a
What
dub.
can you do? You do what you do,
Yeah.
and I do what I do, and we bring our beauty together. Don't try
Right.
to. You can't compete with that. You can't
Can't
compete with
compete.
the fact that my body does this, bro.
Right. Can't compete.
Yeah. So, when they feel society, what I want to also get to is that society emasculates our brothers. And then our brothers, it's that kick the cat theory we spoke about in the last one. It's that whole, this happens there, then you're upset with mom is upset with the children kick the cat. And I'm like, there is that going on in our community. Our men are feeling disempowered by society, by their actual oppressor. And then what's happening often in the world of the wounded masculine is that is being used on or upon others because they lack power out there. And so they take that power, that full sense of power, and then it's internalized. Let's say a brother's working in a corporation now, he's had a bad day with Karen at work.
Right.
Now, that brother maybe not, he's got some other things going on with him anyway, right? But how is he going to now, when he faces a woman, or let's say he's a single man, then he faces now a sister, just with a personality, that was one, yeah, just a sister who knows herself.
Right.
Now, Karen, she might not know herself, but but a sister now knows herself and can speak straight. She don't mince words. She don't pet, play, or powder. How can you cope with that if you've got every woman in your mind as a Karen? Yeah? There has to be a disconnect from the way you think about women in general. Yeah? And take us out of it. Be objective in your thinking around us. Yeah? You may have, and again, if you've got issues with your sister or your an aunt, get it handled.
Right.
Get it handled. I cannot tell you get it handled, because I'll be honest, brothers, we can see it. We can look in your eyes and we can see it. We might not be able to identify what it is, particularly what it is, specifically. But there's a vacancy in a wounded man, in his eyes. There's a vacancy. He's present here, but he's switched off here, and he's vacant. We know. Unreachable.
No,
And we keep trying to reach you, and then you've got this manosphere pushing this down your throat. And so a lot of our sisters, I'm not one of them, but a lot of our sisters, not in our community per se, but out there in their communities, Black women, they'll be going to, your Chad, and them kind of thing there. Or going back to religion, which is a lot of our sisters have done. And brothers, but some of our sisters have done that. Yeah? They're still hurt. They're still needing that healing. They're still wounded. Just because they went back doesn't mean that they're not wounded still. They're wounded even more if they've gone back to that. If they've gone over there. Yeah, to that side of the fence. Yeah, especially if you come from that side of the fence already and you come out and you go back in. Man, so I'm saying, I want us to get to a balance now where our sisters feel supported. Yeah, our sisters feel treasured.
Right.
Yeah.
Nah, it's doable.
It's doable, and I want us brothers to say, and I want to say something a bit sensitive to our brothers, because let me tell you something. I'll tell you now. Yeah, adult themes, and adult themes alert. I'll tell you now, some of these, I'm not saying lots, but I say brothers, even the way brothers touch has changed in the last 10 years.
For the better or for the worse?
For the worse.
The way that they touch?
Tennis. What I mean is that tenderness.
Right.
Yeah. Tenderness is missing. Listen, 90s love, yeah.
Right.
That was tenderness. That was Aaron Hall and them man there.
Right.
And I saw something the other day about men, about us and the relationships and how, society is not scared of us when we're killing each other, fighting each other, calling each other X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But, love songs ain't getting made like they were before because, they don't have the same impact now. Yeah. And they aren't promoted in the same way because they're on some level, it's not the violence, our aggression, it's our assertiveness that they're scared of. It's our love for each other that they're scared of.
That's a fact.
And I was like, yo, that's quite serious,
That's a fact.
Because if we start loving each other, it's a wrap out here,
I'm here to let you know.
It's a wrap out here. It's very, very going to get very serious. And I'm all about the Black love revolution out here.
Right.
All about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, when I have this conversation, I say, anyone who knows me knows I'm serious about this. I speak seriously about it. It hurts.
Right.
Just to speak. I could cry. I could easily cry. Yeah, I'm not scared to cry. I feel. Yeah. Last time I checked, I'm human.
Right.
And the ability to feel is key. Because I know what society has done, what social media has done, and it's taking away people's ability to even feel. So if you don't have the ability to feel, again, squeezing the joy out, and then you don't have the ability to feel, and then it transpires into the way in which you touch. Come on now.
Okay. Right, all of those senses.
Yeah, your senses. Right. You're not firing off the women's senses, brothers. You're not firing off the senses.
Well, I started a platform called Conscious Connections.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
I put that together a few months ago, and I'm rolling it out. Yeah, I have a soft rollout as I've been rolling it out, but ultimately it's going to be a dating app. And it's going to be a dating app that's going to speak to the void that we have in this community on the dating scene to bring people together to be equally yoked, but also to, match them up scientifically by using different tools and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And we're going to even have an approach, what is known as a top-down approach to dating versus a bottom-up approach. The bottom-up approach would be from the lowest chakra up, which would be from lust all the way up to, somebody's crown chakra, where versus you could come in through the crown chakra, you could come in through tantra, you could come in through getting to know somebody, on a more
what levels? It's like a tier system.
Levels, right. So by the time you do reach the lowest chakra or the intimate phase and whatnot, or the phase of physical interaction, you're already locked in. Like you know that you have purpose now. You could breathe together. You could feel that person's aura. It'll be more pleasurable, more enjoyable, and we are really dedicated to the long run, the long tail aspect of it, not short term, long term. Having people meet their quote unquote.
Is this on your site? Is this on your website? Or is this something you're developing?
This is we have an Instagram page for it right now.
Yeah,
I've done an interview. I've done some interviews. One with the good brother Supernova Slum, another with a beautiful sister by the name of Maui, and we've been doing work putting it together. So it's gonna be physical, like meetups and stuff like that. We're gonna be doing retreats.
Beautiful.
And the app is gonna be powerful. It's going to be beautiful. So,
Oh, that's lovely. And I love that. You know, that is innovative, and that is like the science of Black love right there.
yeah, right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
bringing it into this day and time, you
Into
know,
this day and time, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I know
bring
so
it
many
into
people. It's like they waiting, they getting themselves ready. You know, they working on themselves. Like they're eager to find, you know, you know, their goddess, and vice versa.
So tell me what that banner. Tell me what it's called. What's the Instagram?
Oh, conscious connections, and at the end of connections is a Z.
Right, pop it in. Do me a favor. Pop it in the private chat. In our private chat, just pop it in there, and I'll copy and paste it.
Got you.
So yeah, I really wanted to address that because, you know, even, you know, looking at the conversation around love and healing, like it's not going to take place, family, if we're not doing that work. Yeah, it's not going to take place if we're, you know, building and building and building and building, but there are other things, almost like an invisible suitcase, a weight, a burden. Yeah.
Baggage.
And so it really makes a difference. Thank you for that. And it really makes a difference to be able to engage in these kinds of conversations, because we're not having man and woman conversations enough. We're not having them anymore, really. You know, yeah, men are having their manosphere, women are having their womanosphere, if you like. Yeah.
Right.
But the connection, the conversations aren't aligning anymore.
It's you know, it is my thing. When I look at that, you know, it's a process. I feel like it's a necessary process that is gonna crescendo and come full circle. You know what I mean? Like it's
What goes
something.
up must come down, kind of thing.
Right. It's a conversation that's unavoidable. The whole gender war thing, you know what I mean? It started out, it's now ballooned out of, you know, out of proportion.
For
It's like a
real.
forest fire that's burning. But you know, I do feel that it will begin to tether, it's gonna begin to burn out sooner or later. It's a call, it's a, you know, it's a signal, a red flag, a smoke signal for those in the community that want to do the necessarily work. And to answer that call, we have to show and prove you know, we got to show what it looks like. We have to fill that void. We have to, you know, be on the front line and show them what the healing looks like. You know what I mean? Like, if we know that reality television was detrimental to our people, it may be time to utilize that same medium to uplift our people. You know, the music, if we know the music is having a negative effect on our minds of our people, it may be time to have use
Transform the music.
That's right. Don't run from the music. Don't try to fight the music, because in your fight, you sometimes may be shining a light and making it even more powerful and effective. You can't fight something that's unfightable. You know,
And it's like an inevitable, you know, why I wanted to have this conversation as well, because I recognize that I do feel like there is a transition taking place.
It definitely is a transition taking place.
I definitely
all
feel
around.
like there's a transition taking place inside of our community. And I think, you know, I don't want to put it like this, but it's to find the best way to say this in a diplomatic manner. But Kevin Samuel's passing also, I feel, for some men, created his presence and his influence was somewhat of a burden to some men. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what some men are not speaking about. Actually, it was actually not him passing away, but him not speaking on it. Yeah. Especially when it's come from a brother. When it's coming from someone else, it's different. But when it's come from our own, you know, it touches us. Yeah. And so him not being in the space now to speak about it is also an opening for some of our men who were on the fence or fell into the rabbit hole, yeah, of this dialogue. Yeah. It's an opportunity for them to renew
Right.
Yeah, renew themselves, renew their thinking inside of this. Yeah. Ultimately, we all want to be loved and feel loved. Yeah, we want to love and feel loved. That's gonna be kind of, what you remember about your life, how you were loved, how you were taken
Right.
care of.
Right.
These are the things you're gonna remember at the end.
Right. At
Yeah.
the funeral, that's what they talk about
All
mostly.
right. Exactly that. So it really makes a difference, I think, when we start unpacking some of this, and even like going back to the conversation, I was asking you about, what is it? I was talking about how my sons see me providing and protecting, etc. But what's that like? What does that do to our sons when they see that their mothers are providing and protecting? What goes on for them in their mind?
I mean, it might put them in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, as they get older, they realize that,
Mm-hmm.
my mother had to get it out the mud. You know what I mean?
For real?
So, it's gonna create one or two things out of the child.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna create an entrepreneur minded child that's gonna say, I cannot allow my income streams to limit, what I could provide for my children and my family. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get it as many ways as I can.
Good.
Or it could create the child who's traumatized by the
Mm-hmm.
lack, and it creates fear because of the lack. The lack is traumatizing. The
Mm-hmm.
trauma is in the lack. The fact that you didn't have, the fact that you had to go to sleep hungry, the fact that you were in unsanitary conditions and whatnot. There was a lack. So whenever you grow up, you are controlled by that fear that you have of that lack that's tied into your childhood trauma, right? So even with people that are out there selling all of the drugs in the world, taking penitentiary chances, you know, selling their bodies and whatnot, doing everything that that this counterproductive to their safety, they're doing that to run away from the lack, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
level of lack, and it doesn't have to be monetary lack. It could be you could have a silver spoon and have lack of attention, lack of love,
Mm-hmm.
lack of compassion.
Mm-hmm.
You were raised by the nannies and whatnot. The mother never even acknowledged you.
Yeah. The absence. Yeah. That
Absence. The
absence.
parents
Yeah.
wasn't even home. They were chasing
Yeah.
the white dragon. They were chasing the dream.
But you
They
see,
was
they
chasing
talk
fame.
about now they talk about affluent neglect. Yeah.
Affluent neglect. Yeah, they created a
Affluent
whole lexicon for it.
Yeah, listen, affluent neglect is about those who, yeah, you're spending all your money on the child, but you're not there.
Right.
Yeah, you're not emotionally putting into the child, you're not emotionally there.
Right.
Yeah.
So this new generation, it wasn't a generation raised by computers before. It wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
generation raised by phones before. It wasn't a generation raised by tablets before. This is a new
That's right.
experiment. So this is a new
Exactly.
outcome. So
Real.
we're seeing the children of Grand Theft Auto culture. We're seeing the quote
Real.
unquote Call of Duty culture,
For
Fortnite
real.
culture,
For
right?
real.
We're
For
seeing
real.
the robotic culture that they're dehumanized. They don't have the same type of feelings. They don't even speak English. They don't speak the same language. So their language is in LOLs. Their language is in quote unquote emojis and whatnot. It doesn't have the same type of feeling that we have when we communicate through the word. Their word now has been quote unquote compromised to be acronyms and whatnot, and it makes it less engaging, less humanizing. It's not as warm as somebody would if you versus somebody who's mastered the English language, who could come up with words that you hear like in poetry.
Mm-hmm.
He's a wordsmith. He or she is a wordsmith. They have mastered the English language. They are walking encyclopedia and thesaurus. Imagine what that person can do as a sapiosexual versus somebody who only talks in one quote unquote words answers, one word sentences as an answer. LOL, what are you doing? WYD, you know what I mean? Be right back. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a person is not gonna be like, oh, I love the way that this person communicates with me. They're so warm and compassionate, and I can feel the love, and they're be right back. They're BRBs and everything. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I love a person who talks to me with emojis. No, that's less engaging. There's less of a connection. You really can't gauge how a person, you know, when you texting
Socially
somebody,
dead. Socially
right,
dead.
socially dead. You know, sometimes people misinterpret a text and they like,
Come
yo,
on.
what are you trying to say, bro? You know what I mean? Or they just leave it on read and whatnot,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
That part.
Versus when you get on the phone with a person and they're able to speak to you and to connect with you, right? And to touch a certain part of you, you get to hear their voice, you get to hear the frequencies and the vibration, the tonalities. You could tell if somebody's bluffing or not, or if they're really honest and they really got they, you know. So yeah.
I hear that. Now, I've got a question in the chat before we complete and we go and we talk also about, you know, the KTL University. We won't forget that.
Right.
So I want to, now we've got a question here. What about the women that are effusive and abusive to their partners? So I said, oh, effusive.
Right.
Effusive is, I'm not sure if that was an error, my friends, but effusive is showing or expressing gratitude, pleasure, and approval in an unstrained and heartfelt manner.
Right.
Yeah. So
right.
maybe explain your question a little bit more, and we can so I know, look, men are going to be saying, there are going to be men saying, you know what, but what about women that are abusive? I get it. Yeah. And I think that's important to address. Women can be, it's obvious, because we've talked about the mother wound. We've talked about men's healing of the mother wound for themselves as well. And these things are also taught often from woman to woman. That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Or mother to daughter. Like, you know, we were talking about in our last one, we were talking about, you know, you get to an age in your puberty and, you know, your body start change shit.
Right.
And then, you know, it's pointed out to you that your body changed shape.
Right.
And so you're like, okay. And so you are becoming, if we like, the adultification of our children happens at home. So when we're upset with people outside, oh my gosh, you know, the adultification of our children. It's like, hold on a minute. A lot of it happened at home. You let your children go out wearing a particular thing, wearing, you know, their nails, their hair. These girls are going to school with their nails and their hair and then this, that, and the other. Yeah.
Right.
Let's be honest. It's a fashion show. I mean, we all went there. It was all about looking nice, but they've gone to the next level. Yeah. Because who's paying for their nails at 15?
They mamas,
yeah.
And they,
exactly.
Yeah, and they daddies.
Exactly. So, you know, it gives them a full sense of, again, all of these kinds of things give a full sense of who these women are supposed to be. Yeah. And how they're supposed to be treated, or what value actually, what equates to real value anyway. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it does happen, and women can be abusive. I recognize that does happen. Yeah. But I think we have to address that these things, that our men are hurting in lots of different ways. Yes, you know, in terms of like the baby mother or their mother or their sister or something that happened, but how do you get past that without, you know, creating an injury to someone else? That's the work. Can you get past yourself and your stuff? Can you get the healing done? Do you want to be lighter than this? Because at the moment, our brothers are walking around with some heavy baggage and we can see it.
Right. Heavy.
Now, I'm not ever going to be out there going to another race. It's never going to be me. Yeah, hell no. But I do recognize that when people say, you know, oh, well, you know, white women or white men, no, they haven't had the interruption. So they're lighter. Yeah, they carry a different, they don't carry the same burden because they didn't have the interruption. But we did. So how do we get back to that space is what we are discussing. So I appreciate it. I know that the conversation could easily go into the rabbit hole of how it went, who does what to who. But I don't really want to go into the who does what to who. I want us to start thinking about, okay, well, what's in place? What solutions, real solutions? You know, we have one of the last point I want to talk about, yeah, before we complete. Now, I don't know if you've come across this. Have you come across the 7 stages of grief?
I believe I have years ago.
So, well, the 7 stages of grief, there used to be 5, but now there's 7. And the 7 stages of grief are shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, reconstruction, and acceptance. Yeah?
That's real.
Now, I love the work of Dr. Joy DeGruy. Yeah, I love her work.
Yeah, salute to her.
So absolutely. So when I think of the 7 stages of grief, I always think about post-traumatic slave syndrome. And I always think about how we are actually perpetually, unconsciously in a state of grief as a community. We are in a space of grief. We're dealing with grief upon grief. If something happens, look what happened in Atlanta. If something happens to a child down the road and we hear about it, we're grieving and we don't know how to deal with that grief. And that grief gets compounded.
Right.
And then that grief goes somewhere. And so it's about us reining in our grief, getting that healing done, doing that work. Yeah. Do the work. You can't go past it. You can't go over it. You can't go round it. You've got to go through it. Yeah. There's no shortcuts to this thing.
No shortcuts.
So I'm just, I'm really glad that we've had this conversation around this, because I think it's really important that, grief is an area that we need to take ownership on. Yeah. If we're grieving something, we're grieving, not aggrieved. Let's say we love to be aggrieved, we love to be aggrieved by something. Yeah. We're not talking about being aggrieved. We're talking about grief and what happens to grief. And so what happens in those phases around grief is if we get caught in shock and denial and anger, we can actually get stuck there. And that's what we're seeing with these young people with their arrested development. Yeah, we're seeing the young people when they're killing each other out here with their knife crime. Yeah, they're stuck in a space of shock, denial, and anger. And they're not able to get past that. And some of them don't get past that. And yes, they have mentors, but they don't get past that. And often maybe they don't get past some of that because maybe some of the men who are mentoring them haven't done that work on themselves to deal with their own griefs.
Facts.
Sound for that. Sound, bro.
Blind leading the blind.
To this day. To this day.
For real, though. Yeah?
Yeah.
How can you help someone with their grief? I'm not pointing out anyone in particular, but our boys are dealing with death. We weren't dealing with death in the same way. Well, maybe some men were, depending on the circles they were in. But I can tell you now, we weren't dealing with it.
Not in front of the world like that, right? They're in front of the world with millions of people watching them and pulling on their energy.
No, we weren't. So when we're dealing with, our children are experiencing trauma. They've got friends dying in front of them. We can't compute that. Don't act like we can compute it. In the same, we can't fathom that you have to go into school the next day and that person was there, they had a day and they got stabbed and now you've got to move on. We don't understand it. And that, children are becoming, agoraphobia is one of the highest phobias. It's up there. It's number 1 phobia, agoraphobia now. Yeah, going out. I mean, lockdown again didn't help that.
Right.
But our children are becoming scared to really, we used to move out and about across boroughs. Some of us that we didn't come home till it was dark, those ones. So there's a lot of work to be done in our community, family, I think. Yeah. And, you mentioned, doing the conscious connects. Yeah. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
and I do think don't follow it. conscious connections. Yeah, with a Z. Yeah. So check that out. I will want to check. I'm going to check that out myself. I think that's fantastic. I think it's beautiful, and I just want us to kind of start the ball rolling. Yeah, we're not going to have all the solutions today. We're not, but at least we can get the conversation started. At least we can be real about it and start unpacking this thing.
Facts. I agree.
Yeah, and then I pray that out of this conversation, so much transpires. That's my hope for this conversation, that something touches someone, and some more than someone, a few someones, and that our brothers start putting stuff in place to deal with their grief. They start putting stuff in place to deal with becoming a father and healing their heart. Ashe. Okay. That's me done. So I want to just thank you so much for coming to the space. I want to also, let's take a look now. Yeah. So if you want to catch our brother, it's the first time you're coming across our brother. This is his handle as well. Yeah. So check him out if you haven't checked out. He does some fantastic work. Yeah, he's always done some fantastic work. I've come across your stuff maybe a few years back, good few years now, but it's always been pleasant. Yeah, always straight, and a man to be reckoned with. Absolutely. Yeah, so give thanks for that. Yeah, I love authenticity. There's nothing like authenticity, I have to say.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's why I'm a bit fussy about my guests, to be honest.
As you should be,
Absolutely. I know you might be doing all the wonderful things in the community, but if you're not authentic, you're not coming in to the space. And unfortunately, the team, our team here, I'm amongst brothers only in the team. Yeah, and they're wonderful brothers. I have the eclectic group of brothers. Fantastic. I'm blessed to have them. But they've given me the reins, and they know and they trust me. So I'm going to serve.
And I wanted to add something on to when you brought up brothers that I didn't add on earlier when we were talking about the safety.
Yes.
And I was mentioning for your baby girl, her brothers is her safety. She has a built-in, that's her front line first and foremost. And then her father is ultimately going to be the front line before them. And then the community, right? So we like I said, the more we focus on tribe and network and the importance of answering your calls for protection as the Black woman, because I don't think Black men understand it fully, but for those that grew up with single mothers, they should be able to catch it. They should be able to really be able to relate and bring that safety to these sisters so they could, produce, because what we're suffering from is production issues. So once we get back to production, we could get back to reproduction, and then we could get back to producing stuff to grow out of the grounds, production facilities, producing, on the manufacturing side of things, producing our own film, producing our own art, music and stuff. We have to become owners, but it's about produce. It's about production. So one of the opportunities that we have now during this bear market and this recession is that we can now change the trajectory of how our people was moving and become the producers. And we could fill in the voids, and we could come up with solutions, but we could do it faster as a collective than we will as individuals. So I just did a class on Sunday. It was actually like 6 hours in length. It was called Stream Chasers, right? That's a division of it's one of my organizations called Stream Chasers. We attack the financial market, and we do our thing economically. And I help my students get different income streams. So we did a class on 44 lessons to avoid the recession and keep you from stressing. And that was right here, Strive and Thrive 2022, recession, stock market, crypto market, gas prices, food prices, political theater. Regardless of what is going on, we can use this current environment to tap into alternative income streams, learn some new strategies on how to make money in this new economy. What you did last year might not be popping this year. see what skills are in demand, what industries are trending, and where you may be able to secure a new bag. So that went on for 6 hours. I brought a special guest on. This brother broke down crypto mining and the advantages of what, tapping into that market right now. It was just a plethora of information. I've been doing these online webinars before the lockdown, February 2020, and then the lockdown came in March. I got the vision in my sleep or in my theta mode, when it's in between sleep and awake, and it told me get off of 125th Street and start being, give KTL University a shot in the arm. Like, put your energy and your power and your focus and your resources into your platform, build it up, and teach from home. And I listened to it, and I promise you that was one of the best decisions that I've ever made. I'm in control of my content. I'm in control of my my data from my students and whatnot. I'm in control of my destiny, and I've been able to teach thousands of people ever since then. And I built up a whole university. So KTL University has about 20 different lectures, which are all classics. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just saying that when it comes to research, when it comes to decoding, when it comes to perspective, when it comes to just breaking things down and teaching, me and my brother Blue Pill, we have a special way of doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the week before, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
the week before that, brother AA Rashid, I live stream, because that's what we also do at KTL University.
That's right.
We bring the live stream experience to our global audience, from our alumni, and AA Rashid is part of the Know the Ledge alumni. He goes all the way back to 2005 and 6 with us. So he did a master class, Learning How to Learn, part 1 and part 2. People don't even know we don't know how to learn. This new generation that's on the internet, you don't even have the opportunity and the ability sometimes to learn, because you'll learn something at 2 p.m., but at 5 p.m. you're learning something else. Then at 8 p.m. you're learning something else. At 9 p.m. you're learning from another person. There's not enough time for this information to even germinate and stick. So, there's an approach to learning. The brother is very high in esoteric teachings in the Kabbalah and metaphysics. So he takes it from that approach. There's giveaways in his class. In the class that I just did, there's 2 PDFs that are 200 pages each. They have all of the information that's in the lecture available for the students. And so I'm just working, I'm cataloging my work. It's like I have my masters and my publishing at the end of the day. These classes are going to be more valuable and, a lot more, quote unquote, hard to find in the near future. Yeah.
So tell us about this, American Gods Hip Hoppy Prophecies.
So American Gods is a series that I've been doing since early 2017. I started it out. And the premise behind American Gods is that we've under this monolithic mentality that only one God exists and there's only one God, and this mind state that I have our people in. But I take off of the show American Gods, which is a very excellent show that a lot of our people, I decode it, I break it down, and I explain, and I tie it in, I juxtapose it on the events that are going on in real life. You know what I mean? So that's the American God series, right?
Got it.
Yeah, the last one I did, I believe, was with Blue Pill and Brother Al Kibalon, talk about It's a Wrap. That's one. Go scroll down to 4.4. And in this one, we were examining and decoding the whole Travis Scott situation, where there was portals that opened up at the ritual where multiple people, I think 8 people or 9 people, got trampled and killed during an event where it was entitled, the portal says, "See you on the other side." If you could scroll down a little bit more so we could see the poster.
Which one are you? I'm on it. Is that the one with Travis Scott?
Right there. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. American Gods, part 5. See you on the other side. So if people remember, that was around, I believe, November 2021, and the
Mm-hmm.
year was 20. We called that year 21 Savage. You know what I mean? We kind of coined that in the top of 2021. We was like, this year is going to be very savage. The same way that we coined 2020 as a year of fear in February, before the fear campaign started. We already, just based off of the research, we was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is the year of fear. So we were highlighting how this portal has opened up. And if people pay attention to the crimes that have been taking place and the nature of the crimes, the heinous nature, the uptick in quote unquote heartless encounters, it's almost like demons are walking this planet, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you have I'm really, interested in that phrase, attention economy.
Yes, so the attention economy, I did that in 2018 around the beginning. Well, yeah, no, this one was around the beginning of Corona. I started out the attention economy. The first one was in 2018. This is part of the
Mm-hmm.
series. And the
Mm-hmm.
attention economy is the economy that we were currently in, based off of monetizing one's attention. In the social
Mm-hmm.
media era, one of the poster childs was Tekashi 69. He successfully took that formula and created his persona, the rise and fall and whatnot. Donald Trump was the poster child of the attention economy. He was a president who used shock and awe and all type of court jester type of things to take the attention of the people and put it onto
Mm-hmm.
him. And there's ways to monetize attention. There's ways to quote unquote take that attention, which is energy, and use that for your benefit, which they have done.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay, and then you have. This was just very recently, May.
Yes, this is my brother Alkebalon 44. He is a metaphysician. He's a master student, high science, metaphysics. He teaches from a metaphysical high science prospect. He's been doing classes monthly with us. So this was one of his latest classes: prophetic remedies and celestial divinity. And what he talks about in much detail is about the solar flares, right? And he talks about the quote unquote dialectic environment, the free energy that Tesla and them used to talk about. The fact that they tell our people, go outside, put your foot and ground yourself in the earth, sun gaze, receive the information that's hitting this planet, right? The Georgia Guidestones just got toppled and whatnot. Boris is just, stepping down. There's a great reset taking place. There's a shift. There's a paradigm shift. Things are taking place on subtle levels. We're at war with higher principalities and whatnot. So it's about tapping into your celestial divinity. And it's also about tapping into prophetic remedies and whatnot, because it's the information is here. So we put them all in some bundles. We put his classes in bundles and whatnot. So you could binge on it. And
all right, so you got to look at that family. You got somewhere to binge.
Yeah,
and I know our brothers will be like,
right. This we call it Netflix.
That's right.
Yeah, it's Netflix. The information is timeless. You understand? The information is timeless. It's food for thought. You know what I mean? It will leave you fulfilled. It will leave you full. And over here, we don't do speculations. We don't do debates. And we don't do no type of pseudo stuff. We give you facts that you could go and research. We don't just throw information out there and hope that you believe it because you like us. So KTLUniversity.com, come through and be a part of the book club. We have a book club, and we're also going to be launching membership in a very little time and soon, because we just locked down a physical location in the ATL in Atlanta and Buckhead. So we're going to be doing weekly events there as well, creating a brain trust, more social, because we're social people and we need to build a society through social endeavors and whatnot. We're social entrepreneurs, and we need as men and women, we need fraternal orders, right? Which is private organizations where we handle real life matters, but not on the internet. Everything ain't for the internet.
I hear that. Well, look, I want to just say thank you so much for being in this space. I hope that you've been able to share everything you want to share around this as well. And if don't hesitate to come back. If you want to come back, anytime.
Yes,
Holla.
indeed.
Yeah, if we want to do a part 2, let me know. Yeah.
I'm here. You know what I mean? We out here demonstrating, so I'm
Come
here.
on
There's more
So I
things
just
to talk about. Yeah.
and I just want to say thank you. I just really want to thank you for taking the time out to do that. The time to really digest, because this is not conversation is not for everyone.
Right.
Yeah, hard work is not for everyone.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, a lot of people think it is, but it's not. It's really
It's not.
not. Yeah.
Nope.
And don't expect to fit in or don't expect to be popular for your hard work. That's not what you get your accolades for. The work you
Right.
do on yourself, no one sees.
Right. This ain't this. Yeah. This is not for the public. This is not for adulation.
No.
You know what I mean? This is for for you. Yeah.
So I really want to thank you for that. I really want to make sure that, our community gets, checked out the KTL University, step into the space, get to know the work that our brother Repil does
Right.
over in the States as
Right.
well. And,
And
you have to check out.
And I'm on
Yeah, go ahead.
Discord as well. I'm on Discord
Discord,
under Netaverse. That's our Web3 project.
right?
We building up a whole world called a Netaverse.
Mm-hmm.
We nerds at the end of the day. Me and my brother and my team over there. Netaverse is about 3,000 members. Pull up over there, sign up. It's free. Sign up and be a part of that community and bring bring what you have to the table, because this is now the age of experience, the age of discipline. But this is like you got to activate your superpower, whoever you
For
are,
real.
whatever your purpose is. Don't just live vicariously through your favorite teachers and whatnot. Become one of the favorites. You immortalize your name.
That's
It's
right.
enough everybody. We've shown enough people over time that they have the ability to do what they see us doing. And this is not something that, you can't touch too. So with that being said,
100%.
yes, I want to say thank you. I'm honored. Thank you to your audience. Salute to the family, them in the UK. We will be back across the pond very soon. I believe in October we're working on it. So y'all will see us in the flesh soon. But it's been a
Hey.
pleasure. Yeah, definitely. It's been a pleasure. And I look forward to following up. Yeah, let's do a follow-up before the October thing.
All
And I'll
right.
bring my
I mean,
team with me. I'll bring my team. I got some hitters, I'm talking about. So
all right. Okay. All right. Let's play that game. All right. Let's cool. All right. We love that. Listen, I'm just going to put you backstage quickly.
okay.
And then we just complete quickly on the other side. I'm just going to wrap up the show quickly. So I'm just going to put you backstage here.
All
All
right.
right. But give thanks again. Love and power. Yeah. Give thanks for that. I really, I just want to say thank you to this brother. Wow. Just wow. Yeah. I hope the brothers out here tonight will put in that, they had a pen and paper out here in these streets. Yeah. Please make sure that you had your pen and paper and go back and share the space, share this conversation with others, because this is a healing. We have to understand and understand that these lessons also assist our sons as well. We have to understand that these are the lessons our sons need. These are the conversations that our sons are going to need. Look what's happening. We know what's happening. Let's not be confused as to not knowing what's happening with our sons out here on the streets, yeah, and the concerns we have for our black boys, yeah. So I'm saying to you, take heed, yeah. Let this work penetrate you. Let this work penetrate your heart seat, yeah. Do the work. Don't go under it, round it, bypass it. Gotta go through it. The valley of the shadow of death. Gotta go through it, yeah. That's how you rise. Yeah, that's how we rise from as the phoenix through the ashes. That's how it's done. So I just want to say thank you all so much for a phenomenal space. I know there's been a lot that we had to speak about this evening. And I hope that you got a chance to, ask any questions that you wanted to ask this evening as well, because I know sometimes, it's like, there's a lot that comes after when you watch something like this, isn't there? There's a lot of, okay, I should have asked that, or I could have asked that, or, things that you could have asked in the chat. So, don't hesitate. Don't be shy in the chat space. Yeah. If you know that the show is coming, get your questions ready. Throw them in the chat. I'm good. Yeah. All right. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to let you know that I am going to take a little break. Yes, I'm going to take a little break because, like I said at the beginning of the show, Amahi Naike is also coming as well in August this year. We did it in October last year, but we're doing it in August this year. So, I'm going to be doing the festival, and that's coming up very soon, as you know, on the 25th of July. And so I'm going to take a little break to prepare myself, get in the zone for that, because that's a real powerful zone that I need to be in for that. So I'm going to take a few weeks off, and then I'm going to come back, if you like, with a new season, if you like, then. And then I'm going to be also preparing for our other event, which, like I said last session, if you knew, the motherhood healing work that I've done inspired the Mahi Aina Ike, which is wisdom and strength in Igbo, and our intergenerational healing event that we do. Yeah. So if you're feeling brave and you want to come down and show your vocals, go for it. I tell you, I will say this though. Yeah. We do. I'm not going to spoil it for you, all the people that are going to be, in performing, but I will tell you this. Our very own Shakara is going to be performing again this year, but we also have, wait for it. Yes. Yeah. Amanoir and his beautiful wife, Naira, is going to perform a piece for us this year as well. So I can't wait. If you don't know them, get to know them. If you don't know Amenra, yeah, we're talking best kept secret. If you don't know best kept secret, go check out. If you see any footage, find it. Yeah, it's amazing. So they were an amazing space of human beings that collectively came together to do a lot of spoken word. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to have a space. We're going to have stalls as well this year as well. And it'll be open. There'll be an open space outside as well for you. So that'll be fine. And also, if you want to perform, get down there. We're going to have the performers that open mic early. And then we're going to have the evening performances later on. Yeah. And so I want to bid you farewell for the next few weeks whilst I do that. And then just savor these last two. Yeah. Savor this. Okay. Go back, check it out, get your notepad out. Yeah. Notepad and pen. Yeah. Notepad, pens, get it out, highlight, old school. You remember that old school ways we used to study before we had phones? You remember that? Yeah. So get a pen and paper, get a journal, whatever it is, and start doing the work. Yeah. Our children need it. Yeah. They're banking on us doing the healing. They know when we're not. That's the thing. They know. Yeah, that's the truth about our young people. Yeah, they're not like we were. Like we didn't even notice this, and never for years. We became adults and then found out, this happened or that. No, they're not that. They're not that. They're like, okay, they're tuned in, they're equipped. Yeah. So it's in our advantage to do the work. Yeah. To keep up with, if you like, the level. Yeah. Just keep up with the level of information and information that these young people are going to get. Yeah. And you want to be in a place where 20 years from now, they can feel like, my parents progressed emotionally. Not just financially, emotionally they progressed. Imagine that's your children seeing you transform. I know my children see me transform a few times, but they're used to it with me. Yeah, they're used to my, oh, look, this changed me. I always share my transformation with my children. Yeah, and I watch theirs and we acknowledge each other's and celebrate each other. But I know that doesn't happen everywhere. Yeah, and I want us to kind of, join the dots now and let our children experience the healing of our men in the community. Because I think that will have an impact on the way in which our children will actually start thinking about hurting each other. I remember hearing a brother say, like when you call a man, if you call a man a nigger, you can easily kill a nigger. Yeah. But if you call a man a brother, you'll think twice. Yeah. So I'll leave it there. I'll leave that conversation there. And with that, yeah, like I say, as we do, if you ain't got nothing, then you ain't got kush. Till next time, Ashe.